Traffic on the 5s, Matt Bear.
All right, Kurt, we do have a ramp closure down to Waverly. This is Morgan Johnson County, and it's westbound 144 to northbound 37. That's going to be shut down during the midday reopening, hopefully by 3 p.m. Dense fog advisory continuing until 10 a.m. Watch those low to high beams. And westbound as 70 still has cleared after State Road 9. Still a little bit of a slowdown, but it's much better. Traffic sponsored by Drexel Interiors. Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's Design Centers at 146th Street and River Road on North of Shadeland. Online at drexelin.com. I'm Matt Bear on the 5s at WIBC Traffic.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Good morning. Watch out for some areas of fog this morning. Otherwise cloudy with some on and off light rain and drizzle. Today's high 75. Tonight, gradual clearing with some dense fog overnight, a low of 58. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
64 and cloudy, still some patchy fog out there. I'm Kurt Darling. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by Family Heating and Air, your American Standard air dealer in Indianapolis.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
It's an action-packed show today, Casey. Let's go!
And Casey Daniels.
The gang is all back together.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Thursday, September 28th. It's 6 minutes after 9. You're listening to Kendall WIBC. How you feeling today? You tired? You awake? Did you stay up late watching that debate? An ugly stage, bad lighting, questionable moderation, a lot of arguing, and then a clownish survivor gimmick to wrap it all up.
The Republican Party is so inept. And I was watching that last night because I said, well, look, Casey's agreed to pull the audio so I don't have to subject myself to it twice. Mm-hmm. My wife did this thing where she's like, Olivia really wants to watch the debate tonight.
Sure. The baby wants
really?
to watch.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to be put to sleep.
Absolutely, yes. And so I said, no, you want to watch the debate. So that's fine. We'll watch the debate, no problem. And I'm watching this debate and I'm getting angry because everybody has known how inept Ronna McDaniel and the National Republican Party has been for 3 election cycles in a row. Lost the House in 2018. Lost the presidency and the House and the Senate in 2020. Totally blew it in 2022. Should have had the Senate, should have huge margins in the House.
Red wave didn't happen.
And yet they put her back in charge. Mm-hmm. And this presidential debate stuff for 2 debates in a row has been a clown show that did a far greater disservice. Like, I'm not sure anybody's really undecided. It's going to come down to, do you want 4 more years of massive inflation and open borders and high-priced gas? I mean, that's kind of what it's going to come down to. But if there are undecided people out there and they say, well, I'd like to learn more about the Republican Party, that is what they were given, and that was such a detriment. And it is it's just the same thing that happens here. It's just the same clowns that get put in positions of power over and over and over again. And this is why I have, other than keeping my Republican in good standing status in voting in Republican primaries, I'm completely checked out on the Republican Party. These people are clowns. That was a joke last night, and it was just a waste of everyone's time.
I thought the most attention-grabbing moments are going to be remembered for the personal attacks between the contenders and not any of their actual policy or what they want to do.
This would have been,
with the exception, they all said, on the first day in office.
Well, and this would be so simple to correct because it's just people shouting at each other. It's just people just shouting at each other. And this would have been so easy to correct. First of all, there should not have been that many people on stage. Once again, Doug Burgum has no business being there. He can't win. Only like 3 or 4 of them have an actual viable, I mean, and it is a stretch, but an actual viable path. You know, it's DeSantis, it's Haley, it's maybe Tim Scott, although I don't even know anymore. And the rest of them are just taking up. Doug Burgum has no reason to be there. None. And yet these people are shouting at each other, and they should have just said to them, look, the ground rules at the very beginning. There will be no talking over other candidates. There will be no talking over the moderator. You get one warning, and then the next, not only is your mic cut off, you're off the stage and out of the debate. And there's really big, burly security guys. They could have used that sheriff's deputy that Todd Young needed when he moved aggressively towards me.
Sure.
Maybe that guy would have been available. Point is, that would have stopped it immediately, and we might have actually gotten something out of the thing. Instead, it's people shouting at each other, it's people sniping at each other, it's people talking over each other. The moderator, look, other than Dana Perino, Stuart Varney, and whoever that other woman was, were awful.
There was no need for them to be there.
They were awful.
And you're talking about 2 out of the 3 who have foreign citizenship. Isn't that interesting?
That's just like, and these questions were ridiculous, and it is like, these questions about birthright citizenship, and it's just like, oh my gosh, what a just colossal disservice to the Republican Party as a collective.
When the whole thing began, and I don't know if you watched the intro, but they had the candidates by themselves, number 1, number 2, and they kind of looked down, and then they all looked up to the camera and smiled. I thought, is this a game show? What is going on here? And then when Dana Perino began it, she said, you'll have until this buzzer sounds ding, ding. And I thought, okay, yes, it is a game show. And then when they ended it with the survivor question, like, who gets the $1 million here?
The problem is when the people saying just shut off their microphones, they did have the microphones basically shut off. That's why you got to move them. You got to remove them from the stage, because if you listen closely, and I know trained audio professionals like us notice, there is a different sound when they would say Mr. DeSantis or Governor DeSantis, and then he would answer the question. The microphone was much higher up. Somebody controls those microphones. But when there's open mics, you can still hear the people in the background. This party is just a joke. It's an absolute joke, and last night proved it. But they haven't learned anything. This is the same thing that happened in 2015 and 16 when they had all the debates. It was the same thing. It was just Trump was up there, so it was hilarious. But it's the same stuff. These people are just, gosh, they never learn, Casey.
All right, well, hold on to the steering wheel because we're going to roll through some audio. Are you ready?
Oh, let's do it. How awesome.
Okay, we're going to begin with Ron DeSantis. Didn't quite seem as an exciting of a debater. A little bit better, perhaps, this time. He still had that front-runner attitude. He was emphasizing all of his wins in Florida, something that I think is probably good for him to do. And I was pleased right out of the gate. He was asking where Joe Biden is with his missing from leadership. And then, of course, he talked about Donald Trump.
DeSantis, you haven't spoken, please.
The people in Washington are shutting down the American dream with their reckless behavior. They borrowed, they printed, they spent, and now you're paying more for everything. They are the reason for that. They have shut down our national sovereignty by allowing our border to be wide open. So please spare me the crocodile tears for these people. They need to change what's going on. And where's Joe Biden? He's completely missing in action from leadership. And you know who else is missing in action? Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight. He owes it to you to defend his record where they added $7.8 trillion to the debt. That set the stage for the inflation that we have now. I can tell you this, as governor of Florida, we cut taxes, we ran surpluses, we've paid down over 25% of our state debt, and I vetoed wasteful spending when it came to my desk. And as your president, when they send me a bloating spending bill that's going to cause your prices to go up, I'm going to take out this veto pen and I'm going to send it right back to them.
Okay, so after the debate, he was in the spin room with Sean Hannity, and he actually challenged Donald Trump to a one-on-one debate.
I thought you were going to say to a fist fight. I really thought.
To a thumb war.
Here's the thing, and what he said is right in theory, which is Donald Trump should be there. But Donald Trump was actually the winner last night.
For not being there.
Because Donald Trump got to go campaign for free. Probably more people watched him and his little dealio, which we'll play some of that in a little bit, than this thing. And these people were a joke. Like, it was 15 minutes before they went to Ron DeSantis. The number 2 guy in all the national polls, and it was 15 minutes before they went to Ron DeSantis. They started with Tim Scott. I'm sorry.
And then went to Vivek.
Tim Scott is a heck of a nice guy and a heck of a good Christian. Tim Scott is not going to be president of the United States.
Yeah, they probably should have started with Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley.
But here's the point. If you're DeSantis, okay, so then you have 2 options because the moderators sucked. Barney and that other woman were horrific. I mean, it was, and I'm not even talking about like the trouble understanding the one woman at times. I'm talking about the questions that she asked were stupid. They were just stupid, almost exclusively singular focused questions. And the fact that I assume they got with Perino and decided what order they were going to go in, took the number 2 guy who is the only actual guy right now with a chance to stop Donald Trump, if people are interested in stopping Donald Trump, and it was 15 minutes. Well, now you're DeSantis. You have to be a belligerent blowhard and do the thing that we're criticizing, or you just wait 15 minutes to be able to talk.
For a lot of it, Ron DeSantis seemed like he wanted to stay above the fray while they were arguing with one another. But then as it got more towards the end, he got in it as well. Almost seemed like he was frustrated.
But the problem with that is, Casey, and we talked about this the last time, you've got people watch that thing for 15 to 30 minutes, and then unless you're a person who already has made up your mind for the most part, you're out.
Yeah.
Right? DeSantis got one thing in the time when people were watching. Too many people, terrible moderators, terrible lighting. Mike Pence looked like he was dead.
He was very pale looking, and his energy level seemed
He looked
low.
like he crawled out of the dirt, Casey. I mean, who are running these people's campaigns that who is the person who looked at Mike Pence from his campaign and said, cool to go on stage looking like that, bro?
And he wore that red tie again. Same red tie.
He looked like somebody out of one of those zombie movies that had crawled up out of the ground. Must debate tonight. I mean, it was terrible. Take away the fact that he's just full of crap and his answers mostly suck. He looked awful.
Okay, well, if you're thinking that it was a bit of a clown show, it was going really well at one point. This is what white noise sounds like on several occasions before the debate's first commercial break. They were all screaming over one another, making what was being said on stage at times hard to hear.
I think of anybody who's involved.
Some of us are
Excuse me. Thank you for speaking while I'm interrupting. While I'm speaking.
You said about paper.
If I may finish.
You can't be on both sides.
Gentlemen, you'll have your turn.
One of the challenges is
Can we please focus on the issues that matter?
We
know we did business in China. Everybody knows that.
If I may address.
Focus on holding Joe Biden accountable. That's what we need to be focusing on.
I actually agree with Ron DeSantis.
If everyone speaks at the same time, no one can understand your
Exactly.
message.
So if I may,
Really?
I agree with Ron DeSantis.
Really? It went on for 2 minutes. 2 minutes before they were stopped.
You know what they need? You know what they needed in this debate? You know, in Canada, they've got those Mounties.
A big hook?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, in Canada, they've got the Mounties who ride around on the horses. That's their, police force up there. They've got those shock sticks. They needed Mounties to be behind each one of these people and just start shocking them every time they spoke out of turn.
All right, we have so much to get through today. It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
This is Don Fisher. On Saturday afternoon, the Indiana Hoosiers take on the Maryland Terrapins. Pre-game coverage begins at 2:30 with the kickoff at 3:30 on the radio home of IU football, 93 WIBC.
The latest local news, commentary from Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey,
5.6%.
Hammer and Nigel, podcasts. Listen to the station live whenever, wherever, online at WIBC.com.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros. We recently saved a 50-year-old couple over $300 per month when compared to their old individual plan. We recently saved a family of 4 over $400 per month when compared to their quote on healthcare.gov. We are now entering the crazy enrollment season when our federal government will spend millions telling us that healthcare.gov is our only good option for quality health care. Whether it's called healthcare.gov, Affordable Care Act, or it's still Obamacare, don't let the federal government or their big insurance company cronies tell you that you don't have a choice. Give us a call at 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. That's 317-563-0868 or rragency.org. If you don't call us, we can't help you. Quoting the great Dr. Duke Tomato, Lord, please help our Colts. And as always, God bless America, or at least what's left of her.
Joe Hogsett's been a politician for 34 years, and that's a lot of photo ops. But when riots broke out downtown, when police needed a mayor, there's no photo of Joe Hogsett. He was nowhere to be found. Since then, violent crimes off the chart. Police leaving the force. We're now 300 cops short. As a result, 2 out of 3 homicides now go unsolved. India's in crisis, and we need a mayor, not photo op Joe.
Not too long ago, Indy hosted a Super Bowl. We welcomed the world. We had a belief in our city back then that Indy could be magnetic, dynamic. Now, crime makes us feel unwelcome in our own neighborhoods. Joe Hogsett tried to do something about it. It's gotten steadily worse. Jefferson Shreve isn't running on a promise to try. He's running on a plan. Learn more about Shreve's plan at shreveformayor.com.
Paid for by Shreve for Mayor.
Jesse Kelly here. Do you feel protected? My personal protection plan is owning gold. The Oxford Gold Group helps you buy gold to have on hand or convert it into your 401k. If things get weird, I have gold on hand. I like that. You can buy coins or convert part of your 401k with the Oxford Gold Group. It's easy and safe. 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995-GOLD. 833-995-GOLD.
If your wedding anniversary is approaching and you're looking for the kind of value, service, and quality that chain stores just can't provide, that means a visit to Barrington Jewels in Clearwater Crossing. You must see the truly one-of-a-kind creations at Barrington. You'll find exquisite and unique anniversary bands at great prices. Save time and effort and shop Barrington Jewels first. Consider upgrading her diamond, a truly special way to show your love. Don't wait. Get to Barrington Jewels today. And remember, you haven't seen a diamond until you've seen a Barrington diamond.
Hey, Nigel here. My sidewalk and front porch were falling apart and needed completely replaced. I was just going to go with basic, regular, generic concrete that looked the same as before, but my wife, thankfully, was like, And she showed me the Indie Decorative Concrete website, and I was completely blown away at what they could do in terms of taking a basic sidewalk and porch and turning it into a custom stamped concrete area with more space and an absolutely awesome, unique look. Indie Decorative Concrete is locally owned. They don't use subcontractors. Check them out at indiedecorativeconcrete.com.
Give family a call for your family maintenance plan, 317-577-8077. Maintenance is crucial.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
The question, is Rob just young, inexperienced, and naive, or, more troubling, is he a fool who has no idea what the hell he's doing?
22 minutes after 9 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. While the debate was happening last night, Donald Trump emerging as the winner for making a different decision and heading to the battleground state of Michigan and talking with the strikers, the UAW workers, and trying to win over those blue-collar voters. While he was in Michigan, he took the opportunity to blast Joe Biden and also the Biden administration's push for electric cars in the midst of the auto workers' strike.
Well, look, Trump was the big winner yesterday. People like me are critical of him, saying, oh, you should stand on a stage and debate the people and tell people what your opinion is. But the Republican Party doesn't give him any reason to do that. And, you know, I mean, that thing was just, like as we talked about last segment, just a complete joke. And so Trump was proven politically. Now, I haven't changed my opinion that you owe it to the people to tell them what your views are. But Trump was politically the victor yesterday because he got a whole bunch of time to himself. More people probably watched Trump again than that debate. And it's a freebie for Trump as he rips on Biden and whoever else was in the middle of his ire.
He's so smart because I'm sure he did this intentionally, that he got to Michigan and started speaking before the debate began.
Yeah.
So if you were interested to hear what Trump had to say, you were locked in with him and missing the beginning of the debate.
Well, that's an old, and you were a radio programmer for a long time. And as a radio boss, you know little tricks like, hey, our competition starts their segment out of a commercial at 9:03. We got to do it at 9:02.
Absolutely. And he did. So the crowd of Michigan was booing when Trump mentioned Biden and how Biden was there just to pose for photos. And this was one of the more memorable things that Trump said. The only time Joe Biden gets his hands dirty is when?
The only time Joe Biden has ever gotten his hands dirty is when he's taking cash from foreign countries, which is quite often, actually. It's quite often. Based on what we're seeing, it's much more often than anyone would have thought. But can you imagine an unannounced raid on his many homes? He would have made Senator Menendez look like a baby, just like a baby. Can you imagine? They gave him 3 weeks' notice. They said, we're going to raid your home over documents. They gave him 3 weeks. Would 3 weeks be enough? So I can imagine. I'd like to see what he cleaned out of there. Joe Biden only cares about enriching his own family. I care about enriching your family. That's why I did this. That's why I did it.
So he's trying to cast Biden as hostile towards the auto industry. And he said that industry was being assassinated. And he went on to talk about how Joe Biden's electric vehicle mandate is what's killing the auto industry.
On day one, I will terminate Joe Biden's electric vehicle mandate. And I will cancel every job-killing regulation that is crushing American auto workers. I will unleash a thing called American energy, stop the ban on the internal combustion engine.
Okay, so Hammer, Nigel, and I were having a little chit-chat about this as this was going on, because as you mentioned, it was before the debate. Trump takes forever to get to the point. Have you ever noticed that? Like, he takes forever to get to...
Don't you think that's part of his showmanship?
But, okay, thank you, but I'm going somewhere with this. And where I'm going with this is when you haven't seen it before, it's interesting. But when you are on the 8th year of seeing it...
it's tiresome.
Again, it's like we've talked about this before. Whatever your favorite band is, and the best band I can think of this as an example is Boston. Boston, with their debut album, I think it was 1976, it was either the first or second to this day, largest selling debut album of all time. Every song is a hit. Every song is still played today on classic rock radio. You know all the songs by heart. Boston came out with the debut album. Oh my gosh, this is the greatest supergroup that ever lived. They will storm the Bastille and tear down all records in the history of radio. The entire rest of Boston's career, they had like maybe one or two other hits.
Hey, don't you discount Amanda.
And Amanda is about it. And if you go to a Boston concert to this day, you will hear the songs of that debut album and maybe one or two others that you recognize, and that is it. My point on this is when you went to the Boston concert in 1976 or 77 or whenever that was, oh my gosh, I just love every single one of these songs. Now, when you go to a Boston concert and you have heard Foreplay Long Time for the 10,832nd time, you're like, again? Really?
Yeah. I understand about competition. I don't care if I get behind.
I see what you did there.
All I want is peace of mind.
That was such great. You see what I'm saying, though? It's like with Trump, it's like, dude, it's the same thing every single time. This topic might be slightly different, but it's the same setup, same approach, same thing, same thing. I've heard the song. Okay. I'm no longer interested in the song.
All right. Well, speaking of Trump greatest hits, before we get to the news,
yes,
here is one last one from him.
I will unleash a thing called American energy, stop the ban on the internal combustion engine, and we will drill, baby, drill, and we will make zero environmental difference.
There it is.
It will have zero environmental difference, zero. In fact, if anything, it's probably cleaner than what they're doing. But it'll save your family a yearly fortune and give you a much better way of life. You're losing your way of life.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Holcomb said something yesterday about COVID and what he did during COVID, and it was just my blood started boiling, Casey.
Yeah, I know. Okay, it's coming up with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Indianapolis area attorneys. 101 West Ohio Street, Suite 1250, Indianapolis, Indiana 46204.
Do you need furnace or heat pump service and need to find a local, well-trained expert you can trust like Family Heating and Air Conditioning? We'll find that American Standard Air Dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
They got after it again. It's mostly cloudy and 65 downtown. Some showers on radar. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. The GOP primary debate was another fiery one. The 7 candidates dishing out attacks at each other left and right.
Of the 7 candidates on the stage, there was one in particular who bore the brunt of those attacks. Now, that was entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy. During the first debate last month, he blasted his opponents as being bought and paid for by China. But Senator Tim Scott was quick to point out that his pharma company was tied to a private Chinese investment firm. And former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley didn't let up on the political newcomer when he attempted to fend off criticism for using TikTok to campaign despite its deep and controversial CCP ties.
Fox's Brooks Singman. The UAW says they plan to expand their strike again unless progress isn't made in contract talks with Ford, GM, and Stellantis. They expanded their strike last week to more than 30 factories in 20 states. The Powerball jackpot is inching closer to $1 billion after no one won last night's drawing. Saturday night's drawing will now be worth an estimated $925 million. And now the stock report on 93 WIBC. Some slight declines at the opening bell. The Dow was down 25 to 33,524. The Nasdaq down 54 to 13,038. And the S&P 500 is off 5 to 4,268. I'm Kurt Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You probably know how much money you've saved in your IRA or 401k, but do you know how much you'll owe in taxes on this money in retirement? Because that's the most important number you need to know, right? Otherwise, you don't know how much money you have. It's Terry Stacy. Learn how much money you'll owe in taxes with your IRA and 401k. Just go to SaveTaxesWithBill.com. That's SaveTaxesWithBill.com. Just input a few numbers and you'll instantly see how much money you'll owe in taxes when you retire. Plus, you'll see how much you could potentially save if you take advantage of some simple tax planning strategies right now. It's from my good friend and retirement guy, Bill Demery, right here in Indy. Don't give the government a nickel more in taxes than you have to. Go to SaveTaxesWithBill.com. That's SaveTaxesWithBill.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is 9:32. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So there is this bipartisan commission on biodefense. It's a group that was formed in 2014, right?
When you hear bipartisan commission anything, you should just
run away.
Just scratch that out and says a group of people that are screwing you.
All right. Well, they got together. They had a public meeting at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and they were discussing different things and efforts to strengthen public health.
Oh,
and now we're getting down to it, and Governor Holcomb was there.
Oh, how exciting.
And he had some comments about the COVID-19 response.
This guy, look, we have said this to you many, many times. The modern Republican Party in the state of Indiana, which Eric Holcomb is the face and the head of, hates you. And if you are a conservative, they loathe you. And if you are a freedom and liberty-loving person, they despise you. They think far less of you than they do the Democrats. The modern establishment Republican Party, look at the way they govern. Look at the people they put in positions of power. would far rather deal and work with Democrats than conservatives. And this is why I tell people, and you've got an opportunity coming up next year with the governor's race and then the lieutenant governor's race at the state convention to, as they say in Animal House, don't get mad, get even. But Eric Holcomb reasserted this yesterday of just how much the establishment wing, of which he is by far the head, the face, the whatever, how much they despise you as a conservative. So he was asked about his response to COVID-19. Now, let's remember, Casey, let's reset for everyone what Eric Holcomb did during COVID-19. And these are indisputable facts, right? There's not the state data supports it. His own data supports it. The facts of what he did are not in dispute, okay? So over 1 million people. So this is a state of 7 million people. Of course, not all 7 million are working because a bunch of them are children. So almost a fourth of the entire state was put out of work by Eric Holcomb. By decree, fiat, you're done. And the Republicans in the House and Senate said, yes, sir, Mr. Holcomb. So over 1 million people in the state of Indiana lost their jobs because of Eric Holcomb. Tens of thousands of businesses by threat of elimination of your business, because they could revoke your business license. Because don't forget, Connie Lawson, the Secretary of State, was in lockstep with Holcomb, which we've talked about many times, because had the Secretary of State come out and said, I am not revoking business licenses if you stay open, what was Holcomb going to do? Nothing. But because Holcomb and Connie Lawson worked in conjunction and in lockstep, tens of thousands of businesses were closed in the state of Indiana, many of them to never reopen because of the irreversible damage done. So over 1 million people put out of work, tens of thousands of businesses closed. He tried to put you in jail for not wearing a mask, and then, of course, admitted that his entire path of governance was basically a game of whose line is it anyway, where the game's made up and the rules don't matter. Because when he tried to do that, Curtis Hill came out, who was the attorney general at the time, and said, nah, man, I don't think you can do that. Holcomb didn't fight it. He didn't die on the Hill. He just goes, oh, okay, cool, and pulled it out.
Yeah.
So you've got 1 million plus people out of work. You've got tens of thousands of people who had their businesses closed, tried to put you in jail for not wearing a mask, looked at law-abiding, peaceful people who protested and called them human petri dishes. And so you would think, Casey, because the reality of the whole thing is that Eric Holcomb cannot look anybody in the eye today. Well, he can look them in the eye, but he can't prove it and say, you're alive because of what I did. There's not an ounce of proof that what Eric Holcomb did on destroying people's lives and the economy in this state saved one single solitary life. So you would think, if you are a person of any decency, of any humanity, of any empathy for regular people whatsoever, that if you were asked about your response to COVID, you would at least say, hey, I did the best I could with the information that I had, but I made some mistakes.
We maybe could have done a few things different. Now, I just want to add all the things that you listed there.
Yes.
Don't forget to include the shutting down of the schools.
Yep.
And we're now seeing how detrimental that was to all of the students. Remember, you couldn't gather in your church.
That's correct.
And now we're dealing with a huge mental health crisis.
Absolutely. Far more people. While Eric Holcomb can't prove one life that he saved because of his COVID lockdowns.
No, we can prove lives he hurt.
Oh, my gosh. We can prove people who committed suicide, who died of drug overdoses. Far more people died because of Eric Holcomb's actions than the people that he saved. Here is his quote yesterday in the IBJ when asked about his COVID response. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Quote, I don't have any regrets because I was operating with the information that I had at the time. That's complete bull, and we'll get to that in a second. I get it. To each their own. Everyone's got an opinion. I'm comfortable with the decisions that we made. Put yourself in a situation where you have multiple experts not agreeing with one another. And then you have to make the decision. And I was very comfortable. I slept well every night, even though it was a heavy time for our state and nation. Now, first of all, when he's talking about the information he had at the time, because we were reading it, the women and I were reading it every single day on these airwaves. And the information from about week 2 on was abundantly clear. If you are an elderly person, if you are a person with certain specific comorbidities, then you probably need to take a little different approach to this than the average person. But me, a mid-30s, healthy male, there was zero reason I couldn't go to work and function as a normal person. And Kevin and you and about 6.5 million of the 7 million people in this state, there was zero reason for a blanket approach to COVID that kept healthy young people from going to work. So that's a lie right there. And the information he had at the time, and it told the same stuff. You start seeing the same stuff every single day. So that's a lie. Number 2, the guy filling in for Tony this morning. Gosh darn it. Craig. I want to say Kirk, and I was like, his name is not Kirk. Craig said this, and it's absolutely right. And it's the best point I've heard on all of this about what a pathological liar this guy is. He talks about conflicting opinions and making the best choice he had. That was not what he was saying during COVID. He was smugly and arrogantly talking about, well, the science is very clear on this. And Dr. Box, gynecologist, is the science. Dr. Fauci is the science. There was nothing about conflicting opinions. That's why we were human petri dishes, because we were ignoring the science. Well, now, 3 years on, when it proves that he was wrong and Box was wrong and Weaver was wrong and Fauci was wrong, well, now it's, oh my gosh, Casey, I was such a victim on all this. Oh, there were so many conflicting opinions. And what was a poor boy to do? That was not what he said when he was shutting down churches and schools and businesses. It was the science is very clear, and I'm trusting the science. This is, and then, of course, you get to the flippant, I slept very well. Yeah, of course you did. In your taxpayer-funded home with your 6-figure salary and your benefits that you didn't lose. Yeah, I bet you slept damn well, Eric Holcomb. You know who didn't sleep well?
All the people that were put out of work.
Yes!
All of the parents whose children weren't in school. All of the people who were confused about the mixed message hearing everywhere. Ron DeSantis had the same information. He took a completely different approach. Reopen everything.
This is the Republican Party, though, and this is the point of all this. Because what have the Republicans done in the past 3 years to stop him from doing this again?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Rod and Todd, the Flanders boys, they think this is great. Jeff Thompson, who controls the money on Ways and Means, he thinks this is great. All of Eric Holcomb's priorities were funded, many of them fully funded, and have been every budget and every year since this happened. They throw record money at record government, which Eric Holcomb is the facilitator of. The Republican Party believes Eric Holcomb and this elitist, flippant attitude about what happened to you during COVID is fine. And so when you go vote next year for governor, if you put Brad Chambers in there or you put Suzanne Crouch in there, and I talked about this in my speech the other night, then you're going to get more of this. You have one opportunity to correct this. And let's face it, let's be honest. We love rainwater, but the Libertarian Party has made absolutely no growth or strides. We are still the most important libertarians in the state of Indiana, and we're not libertarians, right? The WIBC listening audience and the people listening to this show is the voter base of the Libertarian Party. They've done nothing. They had all this momentum, and they've done nothing. So if you're counting on rainwater or whoever else no. Whoever that Republican nominee is going to be the next governor of the state of Indiana. And so you people better wake up this coming May, because if it is if it is Chambers or it is Crouch, you know exactly what you're going to get. Braun, he funded this bull crap in the U.S. Senate.
And now he's saying that we'll never lock the state down again if he's elected governor. He paid for it to be locked down.
To be locked down.
Sure.
You've got Doden, who you have no idea what his opinion is on anything other than the fact that he wants to take over Indianapolis and teachers don't have to pay taxes. And then you've got Curtis, who I guess you kind of know. I mean, he was against the mask mandate, but we don't really know much else. So right now you have this total blank slate amongst the Republican candidates for governor about whether they would do what Eric Holcomb did again, because other than Curtis Hill, the track record of the other four is that they absolutely support this and would go along with it because they did the last time.
The track record is that the freedom of Hoosiers was traded for government overreach.
Sure, and you cannot count on, and Bob says this in the YouTube chat, I agree right now Curtis is absolutely the best option because he's the only one with a track record of standing up for regular people. But Curtis on economics and a whole bunch of other stuff is a total unknown right now. So my point of all of this is the Republican Party. He is the face, he being Eric Holcomb, he is the leader, and he tells you that the fact that he put you out of work or that he cost you your job or that he kept your kid out of school.
He's comfortable with the decisions he made. He slept well at night.
Absolutely.
It's 9:44. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Tomorrow on Tony Katz in the Morning News, let's break down the debate, winners, losers, and the rest. 6 to 9 a.m., Tony Katz in the Morning News, right here on 93 WIBC.
Have you saved enough? Do you have a plan for Social Security and taxes in retirement? Hey, Casey Weed of Howard Bailey Financial, where our mission is to help you gain clarity and purpose and elevate meaning in your life through personal and practical financial strategies. That's why we want to give you our Retire with Purpose Toolkit at no cost. In it, you'll find valuable information on minimizing taxes, maximizing Social Security, and building a retirement income you can't outlive. Plus, you'll receive a copy of my book, Job Optional. To get your complimentary toolkit, call or text the keyword info 42 to 866-482-9559. That's info 42 to 866-482-9559.
Howard Bailey Financial is the official wealth management partner of Notre Dame Athletics. Notre Dame Athletics was compensated for this endorsement and is not a current client of Howard Bailey. For more information, please visit howardbailey.com/ND disclosure. Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities LLC, a registered investment advisor. Working with Howard Bailey Securities LLC cannot guarantee investment success or that specific financial goals will be achieved.
Real estate research reports housing prices are still slowly rising and inventory is still below historical averages. Now is a great time to get a big payday from your equity growth. Hire the agent who is an expert on maximizing your home price fast, Mark Dietl. Maybe you want maximum equity for your home, but not sure how. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Ken and Teresa in Indianapolis had to say about working with Mark Dietl. A job transfer had us scrambling to sell our home. We were worried we were selling at the wrong time in a bad market. That wasn't the case for us with Mark Dietl. We got a full price offer in only 1 week with no inspection required. Call for all the details. Call the agent I trust and recommend and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietl at 317-755-4232. Or go online to markdietl.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com.
Hey, Tamer and Nigel with more about Window Nation and more from Window Nation. When it comes to new windows, Window Nation always gives you more, but now they're giving you even more. The more windows you buy, the more you save, up to 50% off. It's another amazing deal on windows that deliver more for your home. More energy savings, more value, more features, more options, more beauty. And now, if you want more, you get more. Just call Window Nation at 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com.
Buy 5 to 10 windows and get 30% off. Buy 11 to 15 windows, get 40% off. And if you buy more than 15 windows or a house of windows, you will get 50% off. More than that, whatever size your order is, no money down, no payments, no interest for 2 years. So you got to call Window Nation right now. 866-90Nation, 866-90Nation, or go to windownation.com. Window Nation never leaves you wanting more. Window Nation, the perfect fit.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
There's a lot of sexy content on the internet. And there's WIBC, full of faces meant for radio. Hammer and Nigel, Kendall and Casey. Okay, Casey could be on TV. Now streaming every day on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/WIBC.
Good morning. It's 9:49 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So Jefferson Shreve, who is running for mayor for Indianapolis, announced a plan on Tuesday for economic development in downtown Indy, promised to focus on opportunities that he said Mayor Joe Hogsett has not. He said we're lagging behind our peer cities like Columbus and Nashville. Part of the plan is that he wants to get rid of all the green space that was added by Mayor Hogsett, but he is continuing on with the traveling down that road of going against law-abiding gun owners.
Okay, so Casey, I sent you an email, and I know people think, well, Rob is just a totally biased, radical, right-wing Republican, and as such, I'm going to prompt you here in a moment to read what is on the advertisement, because we got these people who run Shreve's campaign are morons.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I don't know what he paid them, but unless they paid him about $75 million, he's gotten a raw deal. They are so tone deaf, and he is. And by the way, so the poll is done that Abdul commissioned. Abdul will be with us later to talk about the release of that poll. Because it has not been released yet, but Abdul will be with us later. However, in a little teaser on this, because I know the results of the poll, but as you know, Casey, one thing Casey will tell you about me is when you tell me not to tell somebody something,
it goes in the vault.
It is, which is wild because my job is to talk about things, but that's how you build sources. That's how I build credibility. That's how I keep people in the state house, et cetera, who tell me things. I am very good at vaulting information. But what I will tell you as a teaser, and I'm sure Abdul will touch on this later, is that Jefferson Shreve has, as we told you he would, alienated people that should be slam dunk voters for him. And the reason they are alienated, people who on their wildest day, like Jason Hammer, could not have imagined not voting for whoever Joe Hogsett's opponent was, is that his opening salvo in this campaign was to go after law-abiding gun owners.
Strengthening our gun laws.
And he, of course, received immense blowback.
Sure.
And I have talked to multiple people who have told me it is not just WIBC who is doing this. They are hearing it at the doors. These other down ballot candidates who are going out knocking, et cetera, are hearing this at the doors. If you are affiliated with this ding-dong, I'm not only out on him, I'm out on you. Because why would I vote for somebody that is the same as the guy that is in there now? And yet, Casey, despite irrefutable evidence, and if Abdul is polling and finding things, you know they are finding and polling things. They have now sent out a mailer. And Casey, would you like to read? It is not about where was Joe Hogsett during the riots. It was not, was Joe Hogsett in rehab during the riots? Does Joe Hogsett have a serious drinking problem that had caused him to go to rehab, which caused him to miss the riots? It's not asking those questions.
Yeah.
It's not saying, hey, violence is totally out of control in the city. Joe Hogsett is to blame for A, B, and C. It is not talking about a plan to make the streets better or the streets safer or fill in the potholes or fix the sidewalks.
Hire more police officers.
Casey, would you like to read the contents of the mailer that was just sent out to people in Indianapolis?
All right, this is double-sided. It's in color. I'm sure it's heavy cardstock. It says on one side, Jefferson Shreve for mayor, strengthening our gun laws.
Oh.
Here's the quote.
Uh-huh.
I've listened to mothers that have lost their kids and police officers working to keep our city safe, and they all agree. In bold red, we need to change our laws to reduce the number of guns on our streets.
Oh.
Now, the backside says Jefferson Shreve for mayor, strengthening our gun laws.
Uh-huh.
Ban assault rifles in Indianapolis.
Uh-huh.
Require a permit to carry a concealed firearm.
Oh.
Raise the minimum age to purchase firearms to 21.
So this is a mailer that this is not like something where he said, well, I sent that out and then I heard from the people and I've changed my position, which is what, and we talked about this when he came on with us. I said, he's going to hear it from the people. That's why I want him on here, and he's going to back out of this and it'll be wink, wink. I first, when he put it out, thought, okay, this is going to be a wink, wink, nod, nod. I've checked this box and then let's move on our merry way. Casey, he has spent
he's married to it.
He has probably spent well over $1 million on advertising promoting his plan, if you're a law-abiding gun owner, to stick a giant middle finger right in your face. And again, I'm not going to tell anybody what the poll results show. Abdul will release that when he is ready, and he will be with us later today to talk about that. But I will tell you this, and I'm sure Abdul would be fine with me telling you this because I think he's going to say it later. Had Jefferson Shreve not done this, he would probably be running away with the mayor's race right now.
It's too late now.
Oh, no, he can't go out of it.
He's doubling down.
And these people will never vote for him, that he has lost, that you should have never lost. But the fact that he is now, again, sending out mailers,
Yeah.
Shreve.
With the exclamation point right there.
I cannot, the guy's if you added up his net worth, he's probably a billionaire. And there are no, other than dictators, unbrilliant people who are billionaires. And the fact that you were brilliant enough to become a billionaire, and yet you are stupid enough to listen to these wishy-washy, squish Marion County Republicans like the big guy, they are costing you this race.
Not only costing the race, but costing Marion County.
And he just keeps
more time
listening
with
to these people. He has spent more time going after law-abiding gun owners who are following state and federal law, which he cannot change. And so by default, he is lying to every person he is sending that mailer out to. He has spent more time going after those people than he has the violent, lunatic criminals and the maniac running this city who has enabled the violent, lunatic criminals. Think about that, Casey. He has spent more time going after people who follow the law, state and federal alike, than he has the mayor who has emboldened the people to make this one of the most dangerous cities in America. How could you possibly, I don't care how bad Joe Hogsett is, how could you possibly pull an affirmation in November for Jefferson Shreve? You have to have some self-respect for it's Austin Powers. Or you have to have some self-respect for yourself. You have to, come on, Poindexter. You got to stand up for yourself. This guy hates you just as much as Joe Hogsett does.
I don't know how he can't make laws for Indianapolis.
It's gross, isn't it, Casey? You're a voter.
I am.
It's gross.
Yeah. Abdul Hakim. 9:56. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
My little brother's friends have been camped out at our place for 2 days straight. 3. It's because of the Xfinity 10G network. Internet that can handle a house full of screens at once, with basically no interruptions. And it's only getting faster. When I was their age, internet like this was a pipe dream.
You sound like my grandpa.
Please go home.
The next generation 10G network only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Now through November 15th, new customers can get 75 megabit internet on the next generation Xfinity 10G network for just $20 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Go to Xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service. Actual speeds vary.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411.
Hey, you're up next. My throat hurts so bad. There's no way I can sing tonight.
Here, try these.
Vicks VapoCool Drops.
Yeah, Vicks VapoCool Drops has maximum strength menthol with a rush of Vicks Vapors.
Ooh, I can already feel it.
I told you. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
Vaporize sore throat pain fast with Vicks VapoCool Drops.
The Fall Fun continues at Sundown Gardens this Saturday. Hamilton County Llamas on site 11 to 3 Saturday, plus other farm animals for the kids to pet and see. 186th Street and Spring Mill Road.
Coming up in 2 minutes, how the rain may have helped relieve those dry conditions, and John Herrick reports on how Greenfield police are using new tech to solve crimes. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
It could be the first of many. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Impeachment inquiry hearing number 1 is about to start this hour with House Republicans investigating President Biden's alleged ties to his son Hunter's overseas businesses. Oversight Committee Chair James Comer tells Fox.
There's the investigation of the Biden crimes, and there's the investigation of the Biden crimes cover-up.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says his investigators have uncovered serious and credible allegations. The Biden family and partners received over $24 million from foreign sources over 5 years. Business deals have intersected with Biden's official duties, and President Biden was not truthful about his ties to family business deals.
That's Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. Democrats dismiss it all as political with no evidence of Biden wrongdoing. A White House spokesman Ian Sams tells Fox.
I think it's clear that these extreme House Republicans want to distract from their own chaos and inability to govern and keep the government open.
Congress has just 3 days left to get government funding to avert a partial shutdown next month. House Republicans and Senate Democrats are far from a compromise on a budget plan. 7 Republicans running for president debated again last night with the front runner a no-show, Ron DeSantis, center stage.
We want to reverse this country's decline. We need to choose law and order over rioting and disorder.
Former Vice President Mike Pence said if he's elected,
we're going to open up federal lands. We're going to unleash American energy.
Vivek Ramaswamy got a lot of attention again.
Let me level with all of you. I'm the new guy here, and so I know I have to earn your trust.
Nikki Haley told him he can't be trusted for being on TikTok, a national security threat.
I honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say.
Haley herself came under attack from Tim Scott.
You voted he has made sure that the borders are open and they haven't done anything. Look at everything that's happened. 12 years. Where have you been?
And some of the others attacked former President Trump for skipping the debate again. America's listening to Fox.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Will it help? It's 64 with some light rain on radar. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. It depends on where you are in the state when it comes to how much rain we saw on Wednesday.
It's varied across central Indiana, but a lot of locations did have some beneficial rains, and that's helped with the drought situation. We've been so dry for so long.
Randy Bowers with the National Weather Service. He says, though it was good to have the rain, he says it's likely still not enough to alleviate drought-like conditions entirely, especially in the northern part of the state. The remains of Suzanne Morphew have been found. You may remember she went missing in Colorado back in 2020. She's from Indiana. Her husband, Barry Morphew, was initially charged with her murder in her disappearance, but the charges were later dismissed by the judge. Kevin Mason has been caught. He was the inmate accidentally released from the Marion County Jail a few weeks ago. Mason was found in St. Paul, Minnesota, and that's where he's a murder suspect. Your former governor debated again Wednesday as he continues to campaign for the White House. He says that he wants to do away with Obamacare and return much of that purview to states like Indiana.
All of it goes back to the states. We'll shut down the federal Department of Education. We'll allow states to innovate.
He also wants to open up America's energy sector by allowing more drilling on federal land. Pence is way back in the latest polls. An app on your phone could help police in Greenfield solve crimes.
It's called the Greenfield PD app. I'm John Herrick.
You know, the biggest key of this whole system is to help protect people who are providing information.
Greenfield Deputy Police Chief Chuck McMichael says you use the app to send tips in anonymously if you want to report a crime. He says the technology removes all of the information that could identify you before police see the tips, and there's no way to identify the sender. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Anthony Richardson has taken a step in the right direction. The Colts rookie quarterback returned to practice for the first time since suffering a concussion in Week 2. He remains in concussion protocol, but he took a majority of the first-team snaps on Wednesday. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros. We recently saved a 50-year-old couple over $300 per month when compared to their old individual plan. We recently saved a family of 4 over $400 per month when compared to their quote on healthcare.gov. We are now entering the crazy enrollment season when our federal government will spend millions telling us that healthcare.gov is our only good option for quality health care. Whether it's called healthcare.gov, Affordable Care Act, or it's still Obamacare, don't let the federal government or their big insurance company cronies tell you that you don't have a choice. Give us a call at 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. That's 317-563-0868 or rragency.org. If you don't call us, we can't help you. Quoting the great Dr. Duke Tomato, Lord, please help our Colts. And as always, God bless America, or at least what's left of her.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by Family Heating and Air, your American Standard air dealer in Indianapolis.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
It's an action-packed show today, Casey. Let's go!
And Casey Daniels.
The gang is all back together.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Thursday, September 28th. It's 5 minutes after 10. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So there was a show on TV last night. I watched it. I felt like it was a rerun. Like, I've seen this show before. Of course, we're talking about the GOP debate. 7 candidates for president faced off. It was the second time. They were in Simi Valley, California. Donald Trump, who is the front runner, was absent. The first debate kind of seemed to put Vivek Ramaswamy on the map, and it seemed to help Nikki Haley a bit. Many people today saying that Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis performed very well. To me, Nikki Haley seemed like she seemed angry for part of the time, but she did give some quality answers, specifically about education. Ron DeSantis talking about his modest roots and his time in the military, I thought did very well for him. Tim Scott, to me, did not really have much of a breakthrough. Vivek came across as kind of insulting and lecturing. And Chris Christie, all he wanted to do was fight Trump. There were a couple other guys there. Doug Burgum was there. He had one great answer. And, of course, Mike Pence was there, and he had one of the more cringe-worthy moments, in my opinion.
It was a colossal waste of your time, is what you're saying, right?
If I could only have those 2 hours back.
But you knew it was going to be. We tried to tell you the last one was a colossal waste of your time.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? It's part of what we get paid for, to be informed and to know these things.
I do not get paid to enact self-torture.
Too much for you?
Look, I got roped into watching that thing last night because I knew what it was going to be, but my wife lied and said my baby wanted to watch the debate. So what am I going to be like? No, we can't do it. So we did, and it was just as awful as I knew it was going to be. I mean, I could have not watched any of that, and my life would have been markedly better, Casey. It was just too. It is as if someone said, "Here, Rob, watch as 2 hours of your life is flushed down the drain."
Okay, so give me your top 2. Who did you think performed the best?
Trump?
And Dana Perino until the very end.
Dana Perino, I guess.
Until the very end.
There is no winner. They're all losers. I mean, it's like, I guess I thought DeSantis was by far the most professional, but he took 15 minutes to answer a single question, and that's not his fault because he was a moron and decided to play by the rules and not just shout over everyone and wait until he was called on. But it's like, nobody got anything out of that. They started fighting about drapes at the...
They did Curtain Gate.
It just was the Republican Party is a joke. Ronna McDaniel is awful. The party is in shambles. The fact that they would allow this to go on, they don't have the guts to just tell people you're losers and you can't win, goodbye. They should have narrowed it down to 4 people and you set up really strict ground rules. And, you know what the best debate I think I ever saw was, and the one I got the most out of, and I'm being serious with this. In 2020, when they had the governor's debate, I can't remember how it worked. Like Woody Myers was scared to be in a room with other people or something because of COVID. So in order to have the debate, I think this is how it went down. If I got this wrong and Woody Myers was not scared to be in a room with people, and that's why they did it this way, Woody Myers' campaign can let me know. But the Democrat, Woody Myers, didn't want to be in a room with other people. So they had each of the candidates in like their own room. Mm-hmm. And so they were all on a screen together, but they couldn't talk over each other. They had to buzz if they wanted to respond to someone. And then they had to, physically turn the microphone on. Otherwise, they could have just been talking and no one would have heard them. And they actually got a whole lot accomplished in that debate because they couldn't talk over each other.
Were there answers in the form of a question?
The thing I remember about that debate was poor Rainwater was so nervous and was sweating profusely and looked like a tomato.
Maybe his room was hot.
But I thought he gave the best answers in the debate because I could actually hear him.
Okay, well, let's get to some of the answers. These are some of the more cringeworthy moments. Of course, we're going to save the most cringeworthy till later in the show. But here's Chris Christie needing a lesson in nicknames.
And Donald Trump should be here to answer for that, but he's not. And I want to look at that camera right now and tell you, Donald, I know you're watching. You can't help yourself. I know you're watching, okay? And you're not here tonight, not because of polls and not because of your indictments. You're not here tonight because you're afraid of being on the stage and defending your record. You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
All right. I want to ask the governor to...
So he was just let me tell you something, Mean Gene. Short of being an actual Hulk Hogan promo. You're afraid to be up here. No, you guys are jokes and losers. And he was like, why would I subject myself to this? I can go to Michigan by myself.
And actually be with voters.
Yeah, it's just like Christie is ridiculous. He's ridiculous, Casey.
The only reason he's running is so that he can go on the stage and rip on Donald Trump.
Duck. Dude.
He looked straight into the camera and delivered that line. Okay, so Donald Duck, a new nickname. I did see another nickname. This was online. This was not something that was said in the debate, but there was a clip of Ron DeSantis getting make-upped pre-debate, and somebody started calling him Rhonda Santis.
Oh, geez.
Okay, so let's go back to another moment from Chris Christie. He's talking about Joe Biden and sleeping with a member of a teachers union.
They're taking the worst of their members and defending them rather than advocating for our kids. And when you have the President of the United States sleeping with a member of the teachers union, there is no chance that you could take the stranglehold away from the teachers union every day.
So that's what we're getting into. But Mike Pence.
Oh, my gosh.
Here we go.
Oh, no.
He had an answer for it.
Oh, no.
Full disclosure from Mr. Pence.
My wife isn't a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years. And so full disclosure.
Did you want that visual?
Can you think of anything more that would do more long-term damage to your brain? Like, I am surprised I could even function as a human. I'm surprised I was even able to remember how to get to work today and operate an automobile.
Did you have that image in your mind?
There is nothing more terrifying than the thoughts of Mike and Karen Pence being intimate together.
Okay, well, those are some highlights for you. Good morning. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Okay, look, Casey, when we come back,
yeah,
we've got to talk about something positive because It's been all negative so far today, and we're not going to let these politicians get us down. So tomorrow is the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
As you know.
I know.
I have already set the parameters that I will be waking up at 1:30. It's in Rome.
The dude was so sweet. He offered to come in tomorrow. He was like, does Rob just want to take the day off? Do you want me to come in and do the show with you?
So I will be getting up 1:30. It's in Rome. I will watch. It is the biggest golf event in the world. It is every other year. It's the USA against Europe. And as such, you know the ground rules. And same ground rules during the major golf tournaments. I will be here in physical form. You'll be getting about 25% effort, but 25% of me is better than 100% of anybody they would have as a fill-in. That's why I felt obligated to be here.
Okay.
So in honor of the Ryder Cup tomorrow, Indianapolis, Central Indiana, actually got a huge announcement that will have a huge impact on the area economically and otherwise, involving a golf in a major golf tournament is coming to Central Indiana at a very historic and famous course here in Central Indiana. Crooked Stick is getting the 2028 U.S. Senior Open. That is a huge deal. Will have a huge economic impact. And Hank Thompson, who is the director of that big tournament, is going to join us next to talk all about it. Why'd they choose Indianapolis? Why'd they choose Crooked Stick? What does it mean for the area? All sorts of things. Because, well, Casey, in about an hour and a half, I am checking out for good.
All right. We're going to speak with him coming up from 93 WIBC.
We feel
Feel it as soon as you step out the door.
what you feel.
Bundle up. Feels like winter.
Could be more like summertime.
All the feels.
It feels a little like winter.
Feels more like summer.
Of fall.
It's kind of the clash of two seasons.
Weather, mornings, and afternoons.
The ebbs and flows this time of the year is so evident.
On your official fall weather station. 93 WIBC.
Are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com. The kids are going back to school. That means dedicating less time to keeping them busy and more time to caring for your home. Schedule a time for Indiana Foundation Service trained and certified field inspectors to stop by and check out what might be causing cracks or leaks seen within your home's exterior or interior walls. Nasty smells, mold or mildew in your crawl space, sticking doors or windows, heightened or worsened allergies and asthma even when you're indoors, pests or bugs popping up, uneven, sagging or bouncy floors, drainage issues. These signs can point to major damage in your home's foundation. Indiana Foundation Service Team is here to diagnose and fix these problems the right way, the first time. Just visit IndianaFoundation.com now to book your free inspection with no obligation quote included. It's a quick check off your to-do list. Indiana Foundation Service. There's a reason they're the trusted local experts.
Indiana Foundation Service. Reliability from the ground up.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
That guy's brain is a bag full of cats. You could smell crazy on him.
And Casey Daniels.
If she were a president, she'd be Abraham Lincoln.
On 93 WIBC.
18 minutes after 10 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So the U.S. Senior Open, one of the 5 major championships in senior golf, introduced 43 years ago in 1980. It's administered by the United States Golf Association, recognized as a major championship by both the PGA Tour champions and the European Senior Tour.
Yes, and a big announcement coming out yesterday, or 2 days ago, I guess now, that the U.S. Senior Open in 2028, and look, nobody's obligated to play, but I'm just pointing out, given his age, that by 2028, Tiger Woods will be on eligible for the Senior Tour. The USGA has announced that the U.S. Senior Open, for the second time, is coming back to Crooked Stick in Carmel. Crooked Stick, one of the more famous golf courses in the country, most known for where John Daly famously won the PGA in 1991, and it is coming back to Crooked Stick in 2028. So to talk about this, why they chose Crooked Stick, why Indianapolis and Carmel was a great place to have the event, Hank Thompson joins us now on the WIBC hotline. He is the senior director of the U.S. Senior Open. Hank, why did you guys choose Crooked Stick for the 2028 U.S. Senior Open?
Good morning. Well, I think you can look back at Crooked Stick's history in the game and the different championships they've had, and we're fortunate to say this will be our 7th USGA championship at Crooked Stick. So certainly the golf course is the first thing that we look at with any of our championships. So certainly the work that Mr. Doak's done there recently and preparation for that golf course. But then you can also look at just your community. The state of Indiana's the sports crazy community. Clearly, you've had some great events there recently. The BMW was there not too long ago, and just great crowds. And, you look back at Fred Funk's victory back in 2009, and it was a fantastic championship with a lot of people coming out and taking part in the Senior Open then.
So how much of it factors in when you guys are picking these golf courses? Because obviously this is the nation's championship for male golfers 50 and over. How much of it is there's such an iconic image in people's minds of a young John Daly with the mustache and the mullet? He's chain smoking. He's whipping it up as he goes down the 18th fairway. How much do you say, wow, this course is so entrenched in people's minds, people would love to see it back there because we can play that image of John Daly 10,000 times during the broadcast?
Well, that's one of the first images that comes to my mind whenever I hear Crooked Stick, to be perfectly honest, even, being a PGA championship. But a lot of us, for us, we focus on our championships and really trying to find national champions, whether it's a U.S. Women's Open, a U.S. Open, or certainly a Senior Open. Our team really looks hard at the golf course, and can the golf course provide a stern test and ultimately determine who that best player is that week. And historically, I think our championships in many cases finds players that not only are just that much better during that particular week, but for a period of time around that championship, whether they're rounding into form going into one of our championships or have been really good for many, many years, like a young man you mentioned earlier, Mr. Wood. So I think that's one of the things that we focus on first and foremost. And then once we get outside the ropes, we look at it from a fan perspective, and can we build facilities to support the championship, whether it's fan activation areas, obviously corporate hospitality, but then also to be able to bring people on site from off site, whether it's parking and transportation and the whole like. So it's a very layered decision that is made, but it certainly starts inside the ropes. And does a golf course meet what is needed to determine a national champion? Hank
Thompson is our guest. He's the senior director of the U.S. Senior Open, which has announced it's coming back to the central Indiana area, Carmel, Crooked Stick, in 2028. Casey.
So you've announced the cities for 2026, also 2027, and now 2028. It seems like you guys are prepared way in advance. Is that how long it takes to put on an event like this?
Well, I think we like to try to announce as far out as we can, but we can only do so But so far, but even look at our U.S. Open championships, we've got some sites named out through 2040 and beyond. But realistically, once we start the true planning for the championship, it's anywhere from 18 to 24 months out, whether it's setting up the facility and the golf course outside the ropes to say this is where we want to have major activations and major elements involved, but then also recruiting volunteers. Senior Open, we can range anywhere from 1,200 to 2,000 volunteers that are needed to support the championship. So, stuff like that takes a period of time, and it's not something that can be done overnight by any stretch of the imagination. So we do like to have that opportunity to take our time, work through it, and make sure that we're well planned for those that are coming. But then also to make sure people know that we are coming and that we will be in the neighborhood, so to speak, and hopefully people can get that on their calendars well in advance and hopefully be able to take part in our championships.
Hank, take us through. So, like, Indianapolis had a Super Bowl. There's so much more to just, hey, we have a football team and a stadium. There's these big presentations. And, last time Indianapolis applied for one, Larry Bird drives the presentation in an Indy car up to the building to make the presentation. We're getting the All-Star game next year for the NBA. And there's all this big stuff that goes in, millions of dollars spent in the presentations. How do you guys, does the city of Carmel make a presentation to you? Is it a central Indiana thing? What work goes into convincing you guys, hey, you want to be at our golf course?
Yeah, no, for us, for any of our championships, we first and foremost have to be invited. You bring up the Super Bowl or major events like that to where maybe different cities are out there trying to sell themselves to have those major events. We're a little bit different. In this case, Crooked Stick came to the USGA and expressed some interest in hosting a championship. And then ultimately, when we kind of determined what championship might best fit at that particular club and golf course, then they basically invite us to do that. And after we've had an opportunity to come in and take a look at it, whether it's the club getting the support by the city, the state, to say, hey, we can support this and we're going to help the club to do this and help the championship to present it at an exemplary level. That's basically it. We I'm not certain any of our staff or any of our team would be best behind an Indy car by any stretch. But we do like to have a little bit of fanfare. We're probably a little bit more conservative in that regard, but it is something that we want to try to embed ourselves in the community. We do realize we have been invited and we are truly guests, not only at the club, but in the community. And in the end, we want to be able to conduct a great championship and a great experience for those inside and outside the ropes.
Hank Thompson is our guest. He's a senior director of the U.S. Senior Open. It's going to be at Crooked Stick in Carmel in 2028. Casey.
Hank, I'm wondering if you can speak about what sort of economic impact this brings to an area when you do travel to someplace.
Sure. I think a Senior Open it does attract people from outside a normal drive market, obviously players being one of those key groups, but fans and so forth that are coming to follow some of the players that they followed during their golf careers themselves. We're probably looking in the neighborhood of $10 to $15 million positive economic impact for the week of the championship, and it stretches out from the week a little bit because you'll have vendors that are there preparing the golf course, setting up facilities that aren't just there for the week. They're there for months in advance, and then ultimately on the backside tearing things down as well. So it's not just a 7-day event for some folks. It's actually a 30-plus day event for many of our vendors that come in to set the championship up.
You mentioned preparing the course. Do you guys go into a course and say, okay, we need to move the hole, we need to move the green, we need to really clean it up? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, Hank, do you look at Crooked and go, this course stinks, we got to make some major changes to it, let's go.
We got to clean this up.
No, I think if we've announced it that we're going to bring a championship, it clearly doesn't stink by any stretch. But that's where my expertise, if I have any, kind of ends. At that thin nylon rope, my colleagues inside the ropes choose to keep me outside the ropes for many reasons. But ultimately, Ben Kimball, who's my colleague, he's our senior director, and he's responsible for the conduct of the championship and the golf course setup. He and his team will work with the team there at Crooked Stick in terms of agronomic practices leading up to it and potential course setup. It wouldn't surprise me if when Mr. Doak came in and did some work, our team at the USGA was aware of it and kind of talking about what might be good for a championship. And there may be other groups there at Crooked Stick that have an interest in maybe trying to maybe green design or new tee locations that would be good, not just in distance, but also angles of play as well. So
you probably have to take into account the television camera as well.
Well, we do that after the fact. We work with our partners currently in BC to be able to go in and find locations that will be best present the golf course and allow them to show the championship inside the road. So we actually work with them hand in hand to make sure that we don't plop a big grandstand down where they want a camera and vice versa.
All right, Hank, we'll get you out of here with this. Casey and I would like to be working at the U.S. Senior Open. We want to be those really stone-faced people who hold the quiet signs up, and then we can look disparagingly at people if they don't abide. Because don't those people have like arrest powers if people don't abide by the quiet signs?
Do, yes. Yeah, you're deputized. Yes, absolutely. So
awesome.
we'll need the two of you and about a good 400 or 500 more marshals to be out there to make sure everybody has a great time. So we'll definitely be in touch with you and let you know how you can sign up to volunteer in due time.
Hank Thompson, Senior Director for the U.S. Senior Open. They've chosen Crooked Stick in Carmel for 2028. Hank, we're super excited and appreciate you spending a few minutes with us to tell us about this great golf tournament. We're looking forward to it.
Well, great. You're looking forward to getting there. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Hank. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Are you a dedicated family caregiver who finds yourself putting the needs of others before your own? Do you ever take a moment for yourself? This is Tina McIntosh, founder of Joy's House, and we are excited to partner with Teepa Snow of the Positive Approach to Care. I'll be right back after these words from Teepa with an invitation that you will not want to miss.
Thank you, Tina. In my experience, care partners are distressed when the person says, I want to go home, and they are home. My number one tip for overcoming this and other stressful moments while providing care is to pause and reflect. You want to go home, offer a choice. Do you need to do something there, or you just don't want to be here? I'll be sharing more tips like this at our upcoming presentation, and I hope you'll join us. Back to Tina for the details.
Understanding yourself as a caregiver and what you need with Teepa. This is a free event that's going to take place on October 13th at 1 p.m. on Butler University's campus. Call us at 317-254-0828 or visit joyshouse.org to register today. And we cannot wait to see you.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Attacking Trump. It's 65 and cloudy, some showers on radar. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:30. Those chasing him laid into him last night at the GOP primary debate. Fox's Jared Halpern.
He wasn't here, but former President Trump, the far and away frontrunner in this primary, was a presence at this debate.
Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis opening up that critique, followed by a more direct attack by former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie.
You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
Nikki Haley, who served as Trump's UN ambassador, said the former president came up short in taking on China's influence. In Simi Valley, California, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has walked back his rule relaxing the dress code for senators when it comes to being on the Senate floor. Schumer initially scaled it back to just casual wear to facilitate Senator John Fetterman, who prefers to wear a sweatshirt and shorts. Well, after getting bipartisan criticism for that move, Schumer has reinstated a formal business attire dress code. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Any heating and air conditioning problem you've got, we can take care of you. 317-577-8077.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Hey, good morning. It's Casey, and I'd like to talk with you about improving your space with Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They can totally transform any concrete that you have around your house, whether it's your garage floor, your driveway, pool deck coating, or even your patio. Consider them for indoor and outdoor concrete. Their number, 317-751-9070, or you can find them online, galaxyconcretecoatings.com, for a free quote. Whether it's indoor, outdoor concrete, Galaxy Concrete Coating.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Girls in their summer clothes, in the cool of the evening light.
Oh, look who it is. 93 WIBC. It's Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob Casey's here, and joined now, as we are each week, about the most beloved man in all of Indiana politics and government. Always a smile on his face, and why not? Things are always going up great for him. 30 years in the Indiana Senate, the great Jim Merritt. Hello, my friend.
Good morning.
Did you watch that Republican debate last night?
Yes, I did.
Did you get anything out of it?
No. Succinctly, no.
There you go.
I will say that Nikki Haley's a fighter, and whenever you talk to voters, you want a fighter, and I think that DeSantis kind of solidified things, and so yeah, I think some good came out of it. Vivek needs a haircut.
Oh, sure. That was really high, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He had very tall hair.
Yeah, very tall. A lot of puff.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that changed anybody's mind?
Probably not. I think people are pretty set in their ways, and I think when if there's another debate, and I think there probably is, and they get down to maybe 4 candidates, I think that's when things get interesting, and maybe Trump is included next time.
Who would you say the 4 candidates that should be included are?
I think you'll probably have Vivek because he's polling well. I think you'll have DeSantis. I think you'll have Governor Christie, and I think you'll have Nikki Haley.
So Pence and Doug Burgum out.
Yeah, I think good men, great governors, but I think when it gets down to it, I think that foursome right there should kind of push themselves to the top of the ladder.
You've known Pence for a long time.
College.
And you don't, you're one of the few people who openly admits to being Mike Pence's friend these days.
Vice President Pence is a very decent, he's just upstanding, and some of the things last night were a little cringe.
Are we talking about the same guy?
I think
you and I had very different experiences.
Oh, of course, but he's a wonderful fellow. I think he's a great American, a patriot. I just think that America in this next election is looking for change, and I think these people represent it.
Do you feel like he was really flustered last night, or just tired?
He looked like he was dead.
He seemed worn down to me.
Well, if you've been to the Reagan Library, that whole window, that whole area behind them is open glass. The lighting was terrible for everybody, and the lighting was terrible, and it didn't help anybody.
Energy level, though.
Well,
I'm talking about his face.
Well, when it's compared to Nikki Haley, who was on fire last night, it's a terrible comparison.
All right, let's get to some local stuff. There was that article, Casey and I touched on it earlier in the show, about our old pal, Lockdown McGee, High Tax Holcomb, whatever we're calling him today. And he was in the Indiana Business Journal, and he was asked about his COVID response and if he had any regrets. And the answer to me is just why I loathe this guy more than I could ever express if you gave me 9 hours on this radio show, because he's totally flippant. He takes no responsibility. He has no empathy for what he did to people. And he's basically like, yeah, no regrets whatsoever. I was just seething at this response. You're a much nicer person than me. What say you?
Well, for our listening audience, this is the Biodefense Commission that a favorite daughter is Susan Brooks, former member of Congress, Susan Brooks, and she's a part of this commission. And this is the start of an after-action report for what happened in 2020, 2021. And this commission's been in gear for a long time. They actually had a report of what we should be doing in a pandemic situation, and nobody listened to them. Nobody read the booklet. I've read the booklet. And what I would have, I wasn't there, so I didn't hear all of his remarks. But if I was in that situation, I would say I didn't have any regrets, because we were it's on the fly. We were getting information from a lot of different places. But what I would say is that crisis communication is the essence of a pandemic or any crisis in government. This is what I would do. This is what I suggest for the next governor. And I didn't hear that. Maybe it was. Maybe it'll come out in the report. But the bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, we need to know what's going to happen if another riot happens, if another pandemic happens with an illness, and how the governor who was in the seat at that time, I don't I don't expect him to do any regrets because politicians don't do that. But I would say these are the things we did. This is what I wish we would have done. This is to make us all safe in the future. This is what I suggest for the next governor.
Yeah, so here's the quote. I don't have any regrets because I was operating with the information I had at the time. I get it. To each their own. Everyone's got an opinion. I'm comfortable with the decisions that we made. Put yourself in the situation where you have multiple experts not agreeing with one another, and then you have to make the decision. And I was very comfortable. I slept well every night, even though it was a very heavy time for our state and nation. Yeah, a-hole, you did sleep well because you kept getting your six-figure salary with all your benefits and your taxpayer-funded house, and to be totally flippant and dismissive. It'd be one thing if he said, well, I did the best I could, but clearly we screwed up with A, B, and C, and I regret that. To act like the million people out of work, the tens of thousands of people who got their businesses shut down, calling people a human petri dish, all the egregious things that guy did. And much of it, there's not one thing he can point to go, that saved your life. There's nothing he can point to that says that he saved a single solitary life. It is just a completely dismissive piece of garbage.
Well, it also, not to pile on, but to pile on, I guess.
No, pile on. Keep going. No, you're come to the right place.
There are 150 people in the legislature. Those are your boots on the ground. And they're in the gyms. They're in the grocery stores. They're in the churches. And they have feedback. And what I would have done is had a communication, because only 65% of Indiana has broadband access. Have a calling tree, talk with the legislators, and let them know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and let them be the communication device, Republican and Democrat, because that was a bipartisan issue, because everybody in Indiana was affected by it. All 6.6 million users.
Because of him, you said everybody was in the gyms and in the churches talking. They actually weren't in the gyms and the churches because they were closed. But he said he had multiple experts weighing in on at the time. Mm-hmm. Do you think that was somewhat of an indictment on Trump, or like a blame game? Like, it wasn't me.
I think it was an indictment that we don't have a clear crisis communication system in the state of Indiana, where you have all those individuals, but they are they're crisis communicators that everybody, like for instance, Homeland Security. We never really heard about Homeland Security, that department at that time. We always heard about the Department of Health. But I think there has to be, in the federal government and in state government, some sort of health commission that everybody has confidence in, that the credibility says that this commission, this individual that people trust, mm-hmm. that the soil isn't poisoned on a tree of confidence, that people would say, I believe that guy.
There was one other agency that I heard a lot from, and maybe it was just because of broadcasting, and that was FEMA. I'm sure Rob heard from FEMA a lot too.
Well, FEMA's overworked. They don't have the ability. The state of Florida has something called Volunteer Florida, and it's almost like a telephone tree. It's volunteers, it's people, it's almost like the Red Cross. And when there's a hurricane, everybody knows what to do because of Volunteer Florida. We need Volunteer Indiana, which is it just is the Red Cross. But we need volunteers that people trust in their community, that when they say, oh, you got to go inside, people believe it.
So something other than Waffle House.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other part of this is we were reading the data on a daily basis, and 2 weeks or 3 weeks into this thing, it became abundantly clear, which is what played out over the next 2 years, who was potentially vulnerable, that if you had a certain set of comorbidities or you were of a certain age, you probably better be a little more guarded with this. But if you were me, which is a mid-30-something healthy man, there was no reason for me not to be at work, and for him to act like, well, we were just going with the information given to us. No, you weren't, because the radio guy was telling people what was going on, and I was right and you were wrong, and I shouldn't be that smart to be right. You have all these scientists and doctors and everything else around you, and act like we had no idea. Your own data was telling you on the state website what was happening.
Rob, good leaders have core principles, but there's also a nuance. There's always a flexibility, and you've got to be ready for the next step. And what we need from our leaders in the future is somebody that everybody knows where they're coming from, but also if new information comes on the scene, as you're talking about, you've got to be flexible to shift gears and move in that direction. That's not being mealy-mouthed. That's not being mushy. That's about leadership and understanding facts and having the guts and the courage to change directions according to what you're being told, and obviously they're flying blind, but you've got to be able to lead people and articulate a vision for the moment and be ready to say, oh, we've learned more. And
Ron DeSantis did that in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he learned
did.
more and he opened everything back up.
Yeah, and that's great leadership, where you learn something and people are safe if they go outside, if they converse, and a lot of our leaders in the state and the national scene just didn't have that flexibility.
All right, this has been another award-worthy segment that you always do with us. So for that, we allow you to promote whatever you're doing these days. Tell us all about you.
Well, you can find me at Jim_Merritt on Twitter. Thank you, Gabriel. And second of all, we have Merritt in the Morning, where Dave Colt, who was there in the beginning of Sun King, and is going to talk about the past of Sun King and the future of it on Merritt in the Morning. And my son's getting married this weekend.
How exciting is that? So first of all, I love the Merritt in the Morning podcast because you go from 1 week it's Curtis Hill to the next week it's, hey, this guy was big into booze.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And Jefferson Shreve in October.
And congratulations to your son. That's very exciting.
Yeah, it's a great weekend.
We love you, Merritt. You're the best.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel show, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Debate recap. We watch this crap so you don't have to. Tudor Dixon will join us and give us her perspective on the debate, Trump speech, and more. Let's have a day. 3 to 7, 93 WIBC.
This Sunday, if you are looking for a new church home or even a first church home, Life Church might be the perfect place for you. You know, sometimes in your life, you're just feeling a calling for something new and something different, and that very well could be a new way or a renewed way, perhaps, of connecting with God. Life Church would love the opportunity to meet and welcome you and your family. They're warm, they're welcoming, they have campuses all across central Indiana, including Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton, in addition to awesome online services. Learn more about it all, lifechurchin.com.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer. What if the next time you painted your home was the last time you painted your home?
Our home has had Rhino Shield for 10 years.
Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Hey, we're pretty social people at WIBC. You can find us all over social media. See what we're up to on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. We're never more than just away. Just search for 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is 10:47. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Hammer joins us in the studio from the Hammer and Nigel program.
Cubs stink. They do. The bullpen is atrocious. The Cubs bullpen is it equal or less than the experience of watching that debate last night.
My dad and I both are on the boycott this year because of these stupid rule changes, and they've ruined baseball. You hear that, Phil Sanchez? They've ruined baseball. And we were laughing last night about, we don't care at all because we haven't watched any of these games, so we have no investment. But we would be on the floor crying if it was a regular season, like it, you know.
It is a regular season.
Yeah, but I mean, like it what for us? Like where you watch the whole year and you're totally into it. And part of it is they won a World Series, so whatever.
Right.
But it's like the Cubs just find ways to make you feel horrific about your humanity.
So the other night, and again, these are games they have to win.
Yes.
They are in a playoff chase. It's the final week of the season. They're competing for that final wild card spot. And like every bit of my Cubs memories came back to me the other night.
Oh, yeah.
When Suzuki drops a fly ball in the outfield and 2 runs score.
My eyes aren't too good. Is that Keith Moreland out there? I can't tell.
Like, that's the kind of stuff that would always happen prior to 2016, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's the ball between Durham's legs, whether it's Steve Bartman, whether it's Brant Brown, the black cat running in front of Ron Santo. There's always something, right? And that drop ball by Suzuki the other night, after the Cubs led 6-0 and crapped the bed, that brought back a lot of memories. Like, I looked at Jacob, my youngest one. We were in the house, and I was like, that's what I had growing up right there.
Yeah, and it's just, I'm just thankful I don't have to care anymore. So enjoy your misery on your own, buddy.
I enjoyed misery for 40 years. I love you think you're giving me a lecture. It's like me telling you as a Bears fan, your quarterback's not very good. You think? Welcome to the party, Bal.
Hey, the debate last night, I know you were even less impressed than we were with it.
That thing was a turd. Like, I don't throw that word around loosely because I save it for things that actually warrant it.
Yeah.
That was a turd.
It was awful, wasn't it?
Was it the 2 minutes of the candidates talking over each other? Was it the production value? Was it the moderators?
Well, it's a little bit of the first two things that you mentioned right there. I'm glad you bring that up because whoever the engineer was that's running the audio for this debate, just keep all of their microphones up all the time.
Yeah, that's great.
Because people were starting to, bicker and fight. And to be honest, I'm kind of into that kind of stuff. I want to hear who gets called a name and who gets called on their bull crap. But they turned their mics down, and they only turned it up when they heard some scuttlebutt. And by then it's too late, and it sounded bad on the air. Just leave them turned up. And then you have the awful lighting situation. What was that? Like, that looked bad. Like, I know Mike Pence is not a tan man by any means of the imagination. He's never going to get confused for George Hamilton, right? Right. But even by Mike Pence standards, he looked like he had saw a ghost or a pair of boobies that weren't his wife's last night. He was chalk. He was pasty. And I think it was the horrific lighting that was taking place.
How about Mike Pence saying that, he's been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years?
Hi-oh! Whack, whack, whack. And Pence tried to make another joke, like, right out of the gate. Like, the first thing he said was some sort of wacky zinger one-liner, and it just fell flat. And I started thinking to myself, who are these political advisors that are pulling Mike Pence over before the debate and say, all right, tonight, the world is going to meet wacky Mike Pence. Wacky Mike Pence.
You need to be personable.
Right. That's how we're going to chip away at Donald Trump's lead.
Hammer, we have a name for those people on this show. They're called the Gravy Train Brigade because they have been, many of them, earning their livings for 30-plus years off the idea and hope that Mike Pence brought. And, it's every band has a farewell tour. This is the farewell tour for the Gravy Train Brigade. These are the same people that advised him signing then backing out of RFRA was a good idea. These are the same underachievers who said the just in thing was a good idea. Mike Pence has had the same people around him the entire time.
Where are all these strong political advisors at, right? Like, so I've been binge watching the show Succession lately.
Oh, yeah.
I've been into Succession. Shiv would not have allowed that to happen, right? Her character would say, no, you're not being wacky, Mike Pence, tonight. This is what you're going to say. This is how it's going to work. Trust me.
And think of all the money. Like, think about how much money the big guy has made off Shreve. And he's
and when you say the big guy, we're not talking about Joe Biden. We're talking about the guy that has the weight issue.
Yeah, yes. He is a well-fed fella.
The man with multiple chins.
And you can say this because you're a fat person.
Right. I'm part of the fat community. I can rip my own.
Yeah. Think about how much the big guy has probably made giving Jefferson Shreve just horrific advice.
Bad advice.
And they're still sending these mailers out. People were sending them yesterday on the steal your guns as a law-abiding gun owner. Like,
so what does that tell you, though, right? Because Nigel and I talked about this yesterday after you texted us that almost against his will, he's running these commercials. Where was Joe Hawks during the riots? But even during that, which he should have been doing from the very beginning, even during this now, he's still sending out mailers. But it's okay. It's still about guns, those evil gun owners. Like, what are you doing?
And Abdul is going to be with us next hour. The poll that he has commissioned is done. He's not going to release the results today, but we're going to talk about it. And having knowing, I know the result of
that
the
works.
It's like Biden's here. What the hell's going
trying to figure
on?
out what the correct
You know,
grammar
and he
was.
did so good the other day with no cards or anything. Talked for 30 minutes straight, and it was fantastic.
If you just would have let him go a little longer, Casey, we would have got a happy birthday velvet out of him.
Well, I was trying to figure out what the correct grammatical way to say that was. I know the results of the most important parts of the poll.
You know the thing.
And yes, I know the thing. And the crazy thing is, he is being punished for doing the most stupid thing he could have done, and he's still doing it.
So, again, my son is studying political science, my oldest, in college. And I talked to him last night. It's like, if you ever become in a position where you're the political advisor, you're the chief of staff, you are not going to be these butt sniffers here. Like, your talent will be what people gravitate to. You don't have to be, to use your term, Rob, the gravy trainer that hitches your wagon to some zero.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be happy to help him. And I don't know if you know, I've got a pretty good track record of winning. And every time I'm involved in something, people tell me no one likes me and I'm going to lose, and then we win. This is not hard. These people who are leeches and life suckers and aren't very good at their job, they make $1 gajillion. We should start a service. The Hammer and Kendall Political Advice Company.
I'm still waiting out for somebody to reach out to us for debate prep.
Yeah.
Because that's a service that you and I offer, Rob. And if you're a candidate that has a debate coming up, who better to grill you and get you ready and bring the heat than you and I?
You know, 2 debates in a row, or 2 elections in a row, the Libertarian cost himself tens of thousands of votes by not following our advice. Remember Lockdown McGee in 2020 with rainwater. People were waiting for that. They were just on the edge of their seats and he never did it.
You could have been the Libertarian that trended nationwide.
Yep.
Like, it would have been in like the Washington Post and the New York Times, and all the Libertarians around the country had been like, all right, somebody's fighting back. We're not just here to get our brains beat in anymore. But he didn't.
Yeah, so nobody listens to us, and that's why they don't win. So,
Exactly.
Okay, so you now have you made a decision on who you like in the Republican primary to bring this full circle? Are you Trump? Are you? I mean,
it's 2 things, right? I think DeSantis would govern the best, but I don't think he can win because he's not very charismatic, and the presidential election is American Idol. It doesn't matter your talent level. You have to have the look and the zingers and the crowd and all that kind of stuff. So that's Donald Trump. And if Trump is the nominee, I will vote for him for a 3rd time.
Okay, yeah. So I asked my dad this last night because I think we are in agreement with you on this. Why do people not like DeSantis? What is it about him that people don't like?
He's not very personable, right? He's kind of awkward around people.
Yeah.
You get him behind a desk and you give him a bunch of papers that say, fix this country, sign these executive orders. There's no doubt in my mind Ron DeSantis would have that done probably better than anybody. But he's not like a wacky guy. He's not somebody that some of these stupid voters would say, I feel like I can't have a beer with him. Even though Ron DeSantis drinks beer, he doesn't come off that way, right? He's just not charismatic. And the presidential election is American Idol. You have to have a little bit
That
of...
sucks. That sucks. That's how we pick our public officials.
Yeah. I mean, Barack Obama won with a cool catchphrase and a crazy name, right? Barack Obama, hope and change. Well, I don't know anything about him, but I like the sounds of that. And Donald Trump, he was the flamethrower. This is the crazy guy. What do you have to lose? Which I thought was his best campaign phrase of all time. That was better than MAGA, right? What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
And people said, all right, I'm going to give this guy a shot. That's where we're at right now. You can't just be a really good politician.
What is coming up this afternoon on your very fabulous, award-winning, multi-talented afternoon show?
So all of this debate stuff, right? You're going to go off the rails.
Yeah.
Tudor Dixon's going to join us, Dr. Laura Wilson from UIndy, but also the Marion County Sheriff's Department. We're just now finding out there was another guy they accidentally let out.
Oh, no.
2 in 8 days.
Oh, my gosh.
So we're going to dive into that.
Thanks, Hammer. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
Coming up in 2 minutes, where the drought has been particularly bad in Indiana, plus recapping how your former governor did in the debate. And this singer is coming to Indianapolis soon. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios after Fox News Radio at the top of the hour. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
It's the first hearing in their impeachment inquiry. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
This is a tale as old as time. Politician takes action that makes money for his family, and then he tries to conceal it.
Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan at the start of the House Republican-led probe into President Biden's alleged ties to his son Hunter's business transactions overseas. Oversight Committee Chair James Comer says,
at least 10 times, Joe Biden lied to the American people that he never spoke to his family about their business dealings.
Democrats say there's nothing there.
And they don't have a shred of evidence against President Biden for an impeachable offense.
Congressman Jamie Raskin.
No foreign enemy has ever been able to shut down the government of the United States, but now MAGA Republicans are about to do just that. But they don't want to cut off public services to the people and deny paychecks to more than 1 million service members without first launching an impeachment drive.
Well, Congress has just 3 days left to fund the government, but House Republicans and Senate Democrats are far from a compromise on a budget plan. At another House hearing into last month's deadly Maui wildfires, Hawaiian Electric CEO just testified that power lines were de-energized hours before the most devastating fire was sparked, burning down much of the town of Lahaina, so they're still searching for the cause. Travis King back in the U.S., landing early this morning in San Antonio, the day after North Korea kicked the American soldier out of that country.
The 23-year-old ran from South Korea to the north in July. He was on a civilian tour without authorization and was about to be dishonorably discharged. He's expected to be taken to an army medical center to undergo evaluation, then a process of reintegration.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Roads have been a bit safer lately. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reports deaths are down more than 3% so far this year from last year, but are still higher than pre-pandemic levels. In 2021, U.S. traffic deaths surged up 10% to a 16-year high. America's listening to Fox News.
Hi, I'm Henry. YBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
Where it's been the worst. Some light rain on radar, 65 on Monument Circle. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. It's been dry the last several weeks, but Randy Bowers with the National Weather Service says...
If you go down towards Evansville in that area, they're marginally into drought. They're kind of in a low-end drought there. Further north, it looks like the northern, roughly half of Indiana, that's been where the drought's been a little bit more severe, but really it's not been that big of a gradient across the state.
He says the rain may have helped a little bit by Wednesday, but at least an inch fell in most places. The remains of Suzanne Morphew have been found. You may remember she went missing in Colorado back in 2020. She's from Indiana. Well, her husband, Barry Morphew, was initially charged with murder in her disappearance, but the charges were later dismissed by the judge. In California...
If I'm president of the United States, we're going to open up federal lands. We're going to unleash American energy. We're going to have an all-of-the-above energy strategy.
Your former Governor Mike Pence taking part in the second GOP primary debate. He also called for a nationwide ban on transgender surgeries and hormone therapy for children. Indy Fresh Market is a black-owned grocery store on the east side of Indianapolis. For people living in the area, they've had to be relying on gas station food.
I've waited for a long time for this. We have waited a long time for this. I live literally 5 houses down the street.
Michael Sahir talking to Wish TV. He was the store's first customer. Italian singer Andrea Bocelli will be performing in Indianapolis next year. Sasha Nixon reports.
The tenor will once again perform with the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra at Gainbridge Fieldhouse on April 13th. He last joined the Hoosier Orchestra in December of 2022. Known for singing arias, Bocelli has recorded songs with celebrities like Celine Dion, Ed Sheeran, and more. Tickets for the upcoming concert will go on sale to the general public at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, October 10th. Sasha Nixon, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation, like business owner Brian.
Yeah, Galaxy was great. We have a business where a lot of the service techs are working out in the field, and they'll come in and they'll have even some mud or something on our shoes. So if we're having a meeting, I needed a flooring that could stand up to that, but still look good as an office setting.
Well, if you own a home or a business, Galaxy Concrete Coatings got you covered.
Galaxy was great to work around our schedule. They were able to come in on a Saturday, and the job was completed over the weekend, and we were back in business, so we didn't miss a step.
Lots of styles to choose from. 4 times stronger than epoxy and a 15-year warranty.
It's very nice looking. It's very durable. Really makes the room stand out and shine.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com now. That's Galaxy Concrete Coatings. And remember to like us on Facebook. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. We're out of this world.
Galaxy was quick to respond. They were quick to give us a solution and quick to get it completed as well. And they're going to take care of you.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by Family Heating and Air, your American Standard air dealer in Indianapolis.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
It's an action-packed show today, Casey. Let's go!
And Casey Daniels.
The gang is all back together.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It's Thursday, September 28th, 5 minutes after 11. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. And coming up, we're going to get to more debate stuff. But first, the auditor of the state, Tara Klutz, whose operating title was recently changed, has submitted her resignation to Governor Holcomb.
They don't even hide it anymore, Casey. These people are gross, and they think so little of you. And this is the danger. See, when we talk about if you vote red, no matter what, because, well, we can't have a Democrat in there, something really bad might happen. This is what we talk about when we say you cannot do that, because these people use and abuse you, and they are so arrogant about this now, they don't even hide it anymore. And what I'm talking about is these establishment stooges, of which Tara Klutz is one, just like Connie Lawson before her in the Secretary of State's position is one, quitting in the middle of their term, not for any sort of serious undisclosed or a disclosed health reason, or I'm on death's door, or some emergency that I must tend to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They quit in the middle of their term so that the governor can appoint a hand-picked, preferred, liked stooge to have a giant head start for the next 2 years in running for re-election.
Okay, so she's been in this position for 20 years, and she says that it's been challenging, rewarding, and the opportunity of a lifetime. It's allowed her to travel the state and meet many Hoosiers, but she is excited about her next chapter, which means spending more time with family and friends and returning to a career in the private sector.
Okay, but think about this, Casey. She was just reelected in 2022. Last year, she just started her new term.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were a person who was like, great example, Casey. We all know, our audience knows, there was a point in my life where I was ready to be a state senator.
Mm-hmm.
And I had hundreds of people ready to go storm the Bastille. And you know what? I woke up one day and I said, before I decided to run, I'm not sure I want to do this for 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to put 24 hours a day, 7 days a week into this. Going back to radio sounds kind of fun. And if I'm not 100% committed to doing this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on behalf of the people who elect me, I cannot in good faith even start the process. And so what did I do? I didn't run.
Right. So what you're saying that she should have made this decision before?
We're not even a year into this term, Casey.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think if you had some itch to get back into the private sector, you probably would have scratched that before you ran for re-election. But here's what happens. And she is going to an undisclosed location in the private sector, according to Nikki Kelly. So again, not ill, not some family thing she has to take care of. She is gonna be making a boatload of bucks wherever she decides to go.
Somebody called her and said, hey.
So she wins because, well, she hasn't done anything controversial and nobody's mad. And then they go, hey, this job opened up over here. Wouldn't you like to get out now?
Mm-hmm.
And then Holcomb gets to make the choice. Yeah. And then for the next 3 years, no matter who the governor. So let's talk about what the state auditor does, okay? I know I worked there for 3 of them. Not 1, not 2, but 3 state auditors in 9 months. The state auditor disperses the revenue to the municipalities, to agencies of government. They don't actually audit anything. Now, it's called comptroller now, I think is the title, but job description the same, whatever. They are in charge of dispersing funds to the municipalities and the state of Indiana. If you have a state auditor who does not want to play ball with the governor, they can make that candidate or that sitting governor's life a living hell. I know, Casey. I worked there. I watched 2 different people get appointed to that position. I know how the game's played. So if you think this is a coincidence that this is happening now, ahead of a time where it is very likely that someone who is at least, whatever you think about Braun, he is not in the little feel-gooder club in the Republican Party. Now, he is voted for the tax increases, et cetera, when he was in the assembly, and that was gross. But the 2 front runners amongst the conservative wing of the Republican Party are Curtis Hill, who, by all accounts, grows more popular by the day. We were at that meeting the other night. Curtis Hill was the overwhelming favorite of those people in that room, and those are all the sort of people who vote in Republican primaries. Curtis Hill and Mike Braun. Isn't that wild and wacky that right ahead of that, Holcomb gets to pick whoever the hell he wants for the next 3 years to make that person's life potentially a living hell?
No, you don't think, this is 20 years she's been doing this. You don't think that this could be...
Not at the state, Casey!
It's not self-imposed term limits?
She has not been the state's auditor or comptroller or whatever it's called now for 20 years. She just ran for re-election. If your thing was, hey, I've done this for, let's say last year it would have been 19 years. 19 years and I've had enough of this and I'm out. Nobody'd blame you. Thanks for your service, sister. Good luck in your future endeavors. She just ran for re-election, and you will now take of one of the statewide office holders. And when I worked as a state auditor, they drove the vehicle labeled Star 4. So in the line of succession in our state government, the 4th most important person in state government. You have now taken that vote away from not 7 million people can vote. There's 7 million people in the state.
Sure.
4 million people, and you have given it to one guy, Lord Eric the Red, Lockdown McGee, high tax Holcomb, and this crap happens over and over and over and over again. It's the same crap they tried with Connie Lawson a couple of years ago, where she quit in the middle of the term. Now that blew up in their face because Holcomb is so hated by the Republicans that the Republican Party said, we'd rather have a complete buffoon and a moron in Diego Morales in there than Holcomb's handpicked toady in, what the hell was her name? It doesn't matter anymore. She sucked at her job, and she's not the Secretary of State anymore.
Well, you're kind of begrudging her for potentially making more money.
No, I'm begrudging her for telling 7 million people I want this job and crisscrossing the state and campaigning for the job, and less than 1 year later going, I'm out.
Yeah.
No, I have no problem that she wants a job. I want to know what the job is in the private sector. I want to know how she got that job in the private sector because, Casey, let's go way back in the time machine, shall we? I mean, a little history lesson here.
How far back we going?
Beep, beep, beep. It's like a Marty McFly here. Let's go back to 2016 when Mike Pence was up for re-election and had very terrible polling numbers and was despised by this state and was about to get his ass handed to him by John Gregg. And Sue Ellspermann, who was his lieutenant governor at the time, said, you made this bed, Palski, with your terrible policies and your generally unlikable demeanor by most of the state. You can sleep in it. I'm not going negative to save you. Well, magically, Casey, she becomes the most qualified person in the entire state to lead Ivy Tech. Boy, look who won the pony, right? 7 million people in the state of Indiana, and it just so happens that the lieutenant governor who doesn't want to play ball with the governor's plan to negatively campaign is the most qualified person, which means she gets out. And who took his place? Her place? Dun-dun-dun-dun! Eric Holcomb. This crap goes on. Holly Sullivan, that was the lady's name.
That's her name.
Gosh, that was driving me crazy.
Yeah, we had a big flyer of her in here for a while.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And they're doing it at the local level where these senators and these state house members are quitting in the middle of their terms and the precinct committeemen are picking these replacements.
There's like 5?
Yes!
5 openings?
They are stealing the right to vote for representation from the people. Tara Klutz is a joke and an embarrassment, and she should be totally ashamed of herself for doing this. And she can do it, and she's going to get away with it, but we are going to shame her at every opportunity for this because this is deliberate, it's by design, it keeps happening over and over and over again, and it is not a coincidence.
It's 14 after 11 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So none of the candidates last night in the second GOP primary debate seemed to really hammer Bidenomics. Like, I didn't feel like anybody was really consistent on an economic message, but we're going to hear more clips from more of the candidates. And we also have voicemails coming up with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Another news update is minutes away.
Republicans running for president debate.
Former President Trump is also a no-show.
Get the facts.
Lead this country out of the failed policies of the Biden administration.
Not just the talking points.
The 2024 Agricultural Appropriations Bill.
So this is a very simple amendment.
This amendment proves factually unnecessary.
When events happen.
North Korea doesn't want him anymore.
Travis King's fate is to be expelled.
We'll happen to be there. On the level. On the go. 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Hey, Tamer and Nigel with more about Window Nation and more from Window Nation. When it comes to new windows, Window Nation always gives you more, but now they're giving you even more. The more windows you buy, the more you save, up to 50% off. It's another amazing deal on windows that deliver more for your home. More energy savings, more value, more features, more options, more beauty. And now, if you want more, you get more. Just call Window Nation at 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com.
Buy 5 to 10 windows and get 30% off. Buy 11 to 15 windows, get 40% off. And if you buy more than 15 windows or a house of windows, you will get 50% off. More than that, whatever size your order is, no money down, no payments, no interest for 2 years. So you got to call Window Nation right now. 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, or go to windownation.com. Window Nation never leaves you wanting more. Window Nation, the perfect fit.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
I'm thinking that if it weren't for sound bites and your banter between yourself and Casey and whatever that young man is, you really wouldn't have a show anymore.
That young man's name is Kevin. It's 18 after 11 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Can we just say how great Kev is that he made a liner, which tens of thousands of people hear all the time, that just devalued himself as a human.
I know. He's got a good self-deprecating humor.
Yeah, that's called humility.
Good for you. Good for you. Okay, so for the past couple of weeks, Vivek Ramaswamy, he's been making a lot of TikTok videos.
Oh.
He's been posting videos that show, quote, a day in the life on the campaign trail. And then last night during the debate, at one point, he commented that he didn't think people should be on social media who are younger than 16 years old. So it's kind of like, you're saying one thing but doing the other.
Well, he's not younger than 16.
He's not younger than 16, but there was a heated argument between him and Nikki Haley because she was having none of it.
There's one person on this.
This is infuriating because TikTok is one of the most dangerous social media apps that we could have. And what you've got, I honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say because I can't believe that here you've got a TikTok situation. What they're doing is these 150 million people are on TikTok. That means they can get your contacts, they can get your financial information, they can get your emails, they can get text messages, they can get all of these things.
This is very important for our party.
Exactly what they're doing.
This is very important for our party, and I'm going to say
you've gone and you've helped China make medicines in China, not America. You're now wanting kids to go and get on the social media that's dangerous for all of us. You went and you were in business with the Chinese that gave Hunter Biden $5 million. We can't trust you. We can't trust you. We can't have TikTok in our kids' lives.
I can't anymore. That was just completely unproductive. They were just yelling at over one another. Vivek was saying that he was trying to reach the younger voters, something that the Republican Party needs to do.
She got some terrible advice because, nothing makes men not want to support you faster than being a woman screeching at another man.
Yeah.
Like some people are going to be offended I'm saying that, but it's just the truth.
That it was grating.
Yeah. Women are held to different standards than men by a lot of male voters. And they're going to hear that and go, boy, that reminds me of somebody I didn't have a pleasurable experience with.
So another part during the debate, Ron DeSantis was calling out Donald Trump. We talked about it earlier in the week, Donald Trump's pro-life statements, how he was saying nobody's done more for the pro-life movement than Donald Trump, but then he was disagreeing with Ron DeSantis on the 6-week heartbeat ban. And so here's what Ron DeSantis had to say.
And I reject this idea that pro-lifers are to blame for midterm defeats. I think there's other reasons for that. The former president, he's missing in action tonight. He's had a lot to say about that. He should be here explaining his comments to try to say that pro-life protections are somehow a terrible thing. I want him to look into the eyes and tell people who've been fighting this fight for a long time.
Okay, so after the debate, Ron DeSantis was speaking with Sean Hannity, and he said he offered, hey, I want to do a one-on-one debate with Donald Trump.
Oh.
And do you think Donald Trump will? He won't.
No, why would he?
Yeah.
I mean, he was proven exactly correct. Look, the Republican Party is a clown show. They're a clown show at the national level. Clearly, like, look at the Marion County GOP and the people around Shreve. That's a clown show. The Democrats in this state are so inept, and it sucks that even though the state party is a clown show, they're able to win because people look at the Democrats and go, those people are complete lunatics, so we can't have that. Like, the party stands. What? This is the question we asked Jim Merritt earlier. Mm-hmm. What does the Republican Party stand for? I don't know. I'm not talking about what's on a piece of paper.
Well, I know what they'll tell you it stands for.
Right. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying the voting record. Like, take the state of Indiana, for example. What is the voting record of the Republican Party? Now, to the credit of the Republican Party in Indiana, on the life issue, they've been pretty good. That abortion bill was pretty strong. But fiscally, big taxes, big government, big spending, big growth of government. And that sort of mirrors where the Republican Party is nationally. I think the Republican Party has been pretty good on the issue of life nationally. But when you look at economics, big government, big spending, Democrats, Republicans, they're the same thing. It's just different people benefit from the programs they put forth and propose. And so it's like, why would I be fired up to vote for any of you people? And we talked with Hammer earlier. He's right. DeSantis is by far the most competent one on the stage. Mm-hmm. It's not even close. Like, when you look at the record, you look at the appearance, you look at the policy proposals, the policy accomplishments, which is the biggest. He runs circles around all of those people on stage, yet he's generally unlikable.
But do you want somebody who's likable and fun, or do you want somebody who's going to get the job done?
What do I want, or what do the people want?
Well, yeah, exactly. Okay, so, Ron DeSantis has this debate coming up with Gavin Newsom.
Yep.
And Gavin Newsom last night was saying that this is the JV game. They're all vying for second place because at the end of the day, it's going to be Donald Trump and one other person. And by all accounts, that one other person probably will be Ron DeSantis unless something happens, because, he was leading to begin with, and then he's slowly gone down. Mm-hmm. I think last night didn't hurt him. It probably helped him a little bit. But Dana Perino asked him, what is your mathematical path to victory?
Let me ask you something. Yeah. Then if you won't answer to that question, let me ask you this one.
Yeah.
What is your mathematical path,
Yes.
Governor DeSantis, in order to try to beat President Trump, who has a commanding and enduring lead in this race?
So polls don't elect presidents. Voters elect presidents. Right. And we're going to take the case of the people in these early states. We're going to do it in a state-by-state direction. And why? Because as Reagan said in his day, this is our time for choosing. We are not getting a mulligan on the 2024 election. Republicans have lost 3 straight elections in a row. We were supposed to have a red wave with inflation at 9%. It crashed and burned. Not in Florida, it didn't. We delivered it in Florida. And so we've got to choose right. We've got to win. And we need somebody that's going to be able to serve 2 terms. So in January of 2023, they'll be able to address the nation saying, we turned the economy around, we secured the border, and we fended off the threat from communist China. As your president, I will get that job done.
Did you like his golf reference there?
It's fine. His answers were fine. They were good. It's just, here's where he's at. Sometimes men will find with women. Now, you would not know this because you've been happily married for 39 years?
25.
25 years. So you would not know this. But men who have been in the dating game in recent history, since the Bush administration, will find and agree with this. Sometimes a woman is just not into you. And it doesn't matter what weight you gain or lose, what promotion you might get at work, what new haircut you throw on. Hey, I'm really going to impress her this time. And for all the youngsters that are listening out here that are, high school or college age, that's just the way it works, guys. Sometimes she's just not that into you. And in the case of Ron DeSantis,
you think that's what it is?
I just think, we've talked about this. Ron DeSantis is the guy with the good job, dresses nice, real stable family environment. You look at Ron DeSantis and say, wow, he'd be a wonderful father for my future children. And Trump is the guy with all the tattoos and has done multiple stints in the county lockup and travels by motorcycle and is you don't exactly know what he does for a job, may often be less than admirable in terms of his faithfulness, but there's just something.
He does something to the heart.
Well, he does something to something. I'm not sure it's the heart.
Yeah, well, and that's it. The heart wants what the heart wants. Okay, so let's close out our debate talk for today with the worst part. Thankfully, they saved it to last.
Yeah.
They didn't open the show with this. Who should get voted off the island?
None of you have indicated that you're dropping out. So, which one of you on stage tonight should be voted off the island? Please use your marker to write your choice on the notepad in front of you. 15 seconds starting now. Of the people on the stage, who should be?
I'll
I'm
decline
absolutely
to do that
serious.
with all due respect. I mean, we're here, we're happy to debate, but I think that's disrespectful to my fellow competitors.
Nobody wants to participate.
Let's do some questions. Let's talk about the future of the country.
Horrible.
It was awful. It was so cringy, and I was so pleased with Ron DeSantis saying, you know what? No, we're here running to govern this country. This isn't a game show.
All right, Casey, I'm going to hit you with this. You have no idea I'm about to say this, but can I have a couple minutes when we come back? I know we have voicemails.
Yeah.
But unless there are just earth-shattering voicemails, I had a conversation with a high school student yesterday.
Okay.
And it was so insightful into the public indoctrination factory that is taking place in our public schools in central Indiana. It is a mind-blowing conversation, and I was just too lazy to put it on the template because I'd already closed out the template by the time I had this conversation.
But you knew you could make,
and I know we have voicemails
you're calling
too.
an audible.
It was
I'm here for it.
This kid actually knows what the hell's going on, and the stuff he told me is unbelievable.
All right, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Fall in Indy. And since 2001, Rhino Shield has been covering Indiana homes and businesses. Just ask Mike.
Was watching TV one night and saw the Rhino Shield ad, and I thought, well, if they can do a house, they can probably do a building.
And Rhino Shield's not paint, it's better.
So they came out and they gave me a price, showed me how the Rhino works, how it lasts, and how the guarantee works.
All right, Indy, get the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
They started on the building. They waited for us to leave, and they worked Saturday and Sunday so they wouldn't affect our business at all. This was the great part of it. I came back Sunday night, and you couldn't even tell they were here. There was no paint on the ground. They did a fantastic job.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It's begun. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. House Republicans are holding the first public hearing in their impeachment investigation of President Biden today. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer of Kentucky claims he has evidence that Biden abused his public office as vice president and president for his family's financial gain. Mike Pence says the current White House has made the country energy dependent on other countries, contrary to what he says he and former President Trump achieved.
We achieved energy independence. We became a net exporter of energy for the first time in 75 years.
At the second GOP primary debate on Wednesday, Pence said that he would open up federal lands for drilling. The UAW says they plan to expand their strike again if a deal isn't reached with the Big Three soon. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
We have the best technicians in the business here at Family. They'll take care of you every time. 317-577-8077.
Family Heating and Air, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
When my landlord said rent could be cheaper if we were friends with benefits, you know, I'd heard of sexual harassment in the workplace, but at home?
That is housing discrimination based on sex.
I'm legally blind. A landlord recently said that he didn't think I'd be able to take care of an apartment on my own and refused to rent to me.
That is also housing discrimination based on disability.
A real estate agent said that we'd be more comfortable living in a different neighborhood with people like us.
Luckily, we know our rights. It's illegal to steer prospective homeowners away from or to certain neighborhoods based on race or national origin.
If you think you've been discriminated against because of your sex, disability, national origin, race, color, religion, or familial status, call the HUD hotline, 1-800-669-9777, or go to hud.gov/fair housing. Fair housing is your right. Use it. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
It's Thursday. Sunday will be here before you know it. And maybe you're sitting around saying, I'm feeling a calling to something different. Maybe that calling is a renewed or a brand new relationship with God. And if that's the case, please consider checking out my friends at Life Church. We talk all the time on this show about what an amazing impact Life Church has had on my life and my family's life. And this Sunday, they would love the opportunity to meet and welcome you and your family. Life Church has campuses all across central Indiana, including Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton, in addition to awesome online services. Learn more about it all, lifechurchin.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatments at 317-559-PAIN.
I'm so sorry you have just reached my answering machine.
The phone number, 317-684-8444. If you'd like to participate, give us your thoughts with voicemails with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. And we'll get to a couple of phone calls in just a minute. But first, you've got a story, huh?
Well, as you know, with my other job, because I make a vast fortune working here, that just for fun, I decided instead of being home with my wife and baby, I just want to go work somewhere else. I am in charge of some younger members of society, and oftentimes they will have some downtime, and they will be in the office with me, and I will try to take that opportunity to find out what the hell they actually know about life and what our public education system is teaching them. And we told the story about how I've taught these kids about the pay stub, and the last girl
what FICA means.
Yeah, the last girl I taught the pay stub to, she told me she went to her grandpa and said, "You're stealing my money for Social Security and Medicare." And he goes, "How the heck did you know that?" And then she proceeded to tell him about the fabulous guy in the pro shop. And then she said he brought her a Medicare booklet to read.
Oh, wow.
So I do more in my second job for educating kids about how our government works and how taxes work than the public education system does.
You need to start offering a civics class there on the golf course. I bet people would sign up for that.
These kids,
or people would sign their children up for it.
I mean, it is pathetic that these kids who are clearly very bright kids. You talk to them, they're smart. They have no concept of how this stuff works.
It's not taught in schools.
No, it's not their fault. It's not being taught to them. So, I don't know if you noticed, Casey, it was a bit of a wet day yesterday, and so I didn't have many patrons out, and the kid that was working there was in there, and we start just shooting the breeze about whatever, and I could tell very quick this kid was like super hip to what's going on in society. It was like almost like talking to a version of myself when I was 16, 17 years
Poor
old.
Kid, you zeroed in on him.
Yeah, so I could figure out quick this kid's going to be fun to have a conversation with. So I just straight up asked him, I said, you know, how bad is it in the public school system?
What grade is he in?
I think he's a junior.
Okay.
I think. I don't know that for sure.
Probably
but I think,
driving.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And he can drive. I don't think he does drive, but he can. Which again, smart kid, right? Use your parents' gas.
Sure.
But he has all the concept of how the taxes work, and he has the concept of how the government works, and he's clearly on the right side of what's going on. And so finally, I just straight up I said, "How bad is it in the public school system with the teachers and the indoctrination?" And he said, "There are many teachers I have that I have no idea what their political opinion is, and I'm aware to know when they're trying to indoctrinate me."
Wow.
Now, it's great parenting, and I'll get to that in a second. But he said there are many teachers that the indoctrination takes place not directly. Like they don't come out and say, "Hey, Trump sucks and communism is great," right? They're not telling the kids, "I'm a Marxist." But he said it is very clear to me because I have been taught what to look for.
It's probably so subtle.
It is very passive aggressive from these teachers. And he said English class is the worst of them all. He said, we write and do things that have absolutely nothing to do with English. When I was in English, it was sentence structure and verbs and nouns. Oh, no. It's just papers now, Casey. And it's about feelings. And he said, if you are a kid of my age and you are not hip because of good parenting to what's going on and what to look for, he said it is very, very easy for these kids to get completely indoctrinated. And unless you are a parent who is engaged, you will have no idea what's happening to your kid because the teacher does not have a BLM flag flying or a pride flag flying in their classroom. But the teachers know exactly what they're doing, and they do it, as you said, in a very subtle, passive-aggressive way that you've got these kids thinking a certain way, and they don't even know they're thinking a certain way. They just are because that's how it's being taught to them.
Well, they're just trying to complete the assignment and get a good grade for the most part.
But what was interesting to me, and this is this good head this kid has on his shoulders, is he told me, he said, I have a government teacher, or a history teacher, one of them, where you would think the indoctrination would be strong. He said, I've kind of looked up enough on my teacher to know what their opinion is. But in this classroom, I don't know what their opinion is. And he said
that's the way it should be.
Yes.
That's the way it should be.
I was saying, and that's the way it was when I was in high school. I had very strong Democrats who were my history and government teachers. I knew because they told me, because, as you might guess, Casey, I engaged in different conversations than the other kids.
Yeah.
But though I knew their political opinions because they told me, I got A's in the classroom because my opinion was rooted in, or knowledge of history or opinion on government was rooted in factual basis, logical thinking, and they never punished me for an opinion that was different than theirs. And so that has changed dramatically. And so I asked this kid, I said, I said, how do you know all of this? And he told me about his parents, and I'm not going to go into any of that, but it turns out his dad is a huge fan of this station and this show, and his dad actually came to get him and was super nice, and we had a very long, fun conversation. And so my point on all of this is that parenting makes a huge difference. And parenting and being involved in your kids' education, where I have this kid who his IQ is probably not any higher than the other two kids. So these kids are really smart kids. Like you talked about their grades and they're straight A students.
He's just been made aware.
He has been made aware, where these other kids are looking at this going, I don't know. This kid is fully aware because his parents engage him and his parents are not outward about their beliefs. Like if you didn't know the parents, they're not grenade throwers on social media or showing up to local Tea Party events. And I'm looking at this going, I have to talk to my audience about this, our audience about this, because the difference here is they have taught him this, and the other parents, doesn't mean they're bad parents. It just means either because they don't know or haven't had the ability to.
Or they're not engaged.
Right. They're not to engage. You have to engage. If you're just because your kid goes to an award-winning public school, that is not good enough. It is not good enough because your kid goes to some suburban school to think that you do not have to engage. You must engage.
Well, you said English class. I bet you there are plenty of people listening right now who have a high school student who has an English class, has to write some paper, some essay, and they disappear up in their bed. What are you doing? Oh, I got to go write my essay for English class. All right, cool. Dinner's in half an hour, or okay, after practice, whatever, you'll get to it. And they disappear. They write the letter. They turn it in, or write the essay, turn it in.
Yep.
Parent has no idea what the topic was, or what the grade was, or what the position of that paper from their child was.
But here's what it tells me, is we can beat the public education system. We don't have to surrender. We don't have to wave the white flag and say we must retreat and everybody go to a private school. You can send your kid to public school and they can still be productive members of society. And that is how we're going to beat the public education system, is to engage it and try to take it head on through these school board races, etc. You can't just pull out and disengage, or you don't have to, at least. This kid knew what was going on and knew how to cut through all the bull crap, and he's a straight-A student because his parents taught him what to look for. It's the same way I grew up, Casey. Mm-hmm. If your parents engage with you and educate you and force you to work through your thoughts and your feelings and and ask you what you learned each day and challenge you on that, you can still win. It was so refreshing yesterday, Casey. It was so refreshing.
It is 11:41 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Let's get to as many phone calls as we can. We have to save time for Abdul. He's going to join us. We're going to sneak peek on some polling maybe. So we got a question. Actually, somebody called, a few comments about the debate and had a wish that Ron DeSantis would not only debate Gavin Newsom, but also Eric Holcomb.
One of the things I would love to see is Ron DeSantis challenge Eric Holcomb to a debate. And the reason I say that is, it kind of sounds a little weird, but the reason I say that is because I think it'd be great to see how two red state governors, people get to see the difference nationwide. We put Eric Holcomb on a national stage. He has to defend every single dictatorial, lockdown, big government tax and spend proposal he made, while DeSantis can say, go ahead and contrast that to Florida and say, hey, plenty of Hoosiers came to Florida when you locked everything down. Maybe some of them came back, but if you think about it, Eric, a lot of them haven't. And I also think he should go ahead and press Holcomb in a hypothetical debate on the fact that while DeSantis has fired left-wing prosecutors who don't do their job, Eric Holcomb has yet to come up with the political courage or the willpower or desire to fire and suspend Ryan Mears, the prosecutor of Marion County. Now, if there's something in the state constitution that allows Eric Holcomb to do that, he should grow a spine and do it.
Okay, there's no way Eric Holcomb's going to do that. For one, there's no need for him to debate. But he told us yesterday he's comfortable with all of his decisions. Sure. He sleeps well at night.
Yeah, he is comfortable with what he did during COVID. I love that idea, though. Do we have time for one more?
We have time for one more. Kevin, let's skip down to the one that's actually for you. Distinguished gentleman. As Kevin is in charge. You know, Kevin's a fabulous producer.
Oh, yes.
He does an amazing
job. Great dresser,
job. Nice
teeth, accomplished musician. Mm-hmm. If you're a single lady, Kevin is really the catch you should be looking for.
But somebody called and suggested that we watch this movie and think maybe Kevin can get some clips from it.
Hey, listening to your guys' show made me think of the 1992 comedy with Eddie Murphy, A Distinguished Gentleman. So if you hadn't watched that in a while, which I'm sure you haven't, go ahead and give it a look, and you'll have a lot of new fun sound bites that you can play, because it's basically highlighting the idiocy of our government right now. See ya.
Have you seen that movie?
I've not.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Well, maybe you can watch it again for me.
Okay. All right, Abdul's going to join us next. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Emotions come, I don't know why.
Tomorrow on Tony Katz in the Morning News, let's break down the debate, winners, losers, and the rest. 6 to 9 a.m., Tony Katz in the Morning News, right here on 93 WIBC.
Hi, this is Denny Smith for Zero Res, and how about a game-winning strategy to tackle those ugly summer stains in those carpets? More than that, your carpets are the largest air filter in your home and can hold 4 times their weight in dirt. Where do you think everybody sneezes, wipes their shoes, and drops food? That's right, your carpets. And the kids are headed back to the germ pools at school, and they need a safe space when they get back home. It really is a great time to clean the carpets, and it's quick and easy to schedule online. Nobody but Zero Res has the patented electrolyzed ZR water that cleans with no soap, no harsh chemicals, and no residue to attract more dirt. They can even clean your ductwork to help you breathe easier. Duct cleaning improves the air quality in your home as well as the efficiency of your HVAC equipment and reducing energy costs. Schedule online today at ZeroResIndy.com and mention WIBC. You'll get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $139, and they'll give you a free hallway and $50 off air duct cleaning too. For a smarter, lasting clean and really easy scheduling, visit ZeroResIndy.com.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back. because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Is your Generac home standby generator ready for the next outage? Are you overdue for annual maintenance? Schedule an inspection today with Generator Supercenter and ensure your Generac generator is ready when you need it most. GeneratorSupercenter.com.
Do you need furnace or heat pump service? Do you need to find a well-trained dealer like Marshall Mechanical in Franklin? We'll find that American Standard Air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Georgia Street Tailgates presented by Peterman Brothers. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. before the Colts-Rams game. Free entertainment on the Jack Daniels stage. Food and drinks for purchase brought to you in part by Jack Daniels, New Belgium Brewing, Hubler Automotive Group, and the Veterans Administration.
I was gambling in Havana. I took a little risk. Send lawyers, guns, and
93
money.
WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob Casey's here, and as we do each Thursday, what a better way to close out the show. I can't think of one. He's an author, he's a broadcaster, he's a provocateur, the one and only Abdul Hakim-Shabazz. Hello.
My head hurts from watching that debate last night.
Boy, that was tough, wasn't it?
Did you stay up for the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing.
Painful. Would you have liked to have been voted off the island?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
I'd voted myself off that island.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so
I'll tell you this is thank God I had edibles because I had to have something to get through that thing.
all right, I'm curious for you because I know you're not voting for Trump in the primary, but do you have a favorite, or do you have? I've not heard anything from you about this. Do you have someone that you like?
Well, it's sort of like, do I want to get hit in the head with a 2x4 or hammer? Either way, I'm still getting hit in the head.
Sure.
I would have to say if there was a quote unquote winner in last night's debate, I would say it had to be Nikki Haley because she didn't really screw up anything. And of course, I did like the line she quoted from Billy Madison to the Vivacek or Swami, and every time I listen to you, it makes me dumber.
Yeah.
Hey, so what's the deal with the makeup? A lot of them looked very dead.
Did you see how pale not Greg Pence, Mike Pence looked?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Right. And people were saying this all over social media. Am I wrong? So I'm not the only one who's looked at Pence and
I'm not sure if it was the makeup or the lighting.
I think it was both.
Yeah.
Because I think the lighting was different in Simi Valley than it was when they did the last debate. So I think the lighting had something to do with it, and people also got to remember too that when you're on television, you have to assume the camera is always on you and your microphone is always on, because that way because when you do that, you don't make stupid errors and stupid mistakes. So
Pence looked particularly terrible though, and look, I'm totally biased against Pence, but I mean he's normally a pretty good-looking older man. I mean, he was horrible.
Well, the thing that got me with Mike was when the Mike used to one line, I've been sleeping with a teacher for 30 years. Like, oh, what the hell are you talking about?
That felt really flat.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Just like Chris Christie, Donald Duck. Like, oh my God. Like, what consultants told you guys to say this stuff?
They're going on a comedy tour if this presidential thing doesn't work out.
Well, we were talking about this. You and I were off air. This is a train wreck. And Casey and I talked about this earlier on the show. The whole thing's a train wreck. And the Republican Party, the RNC, they're to blame because they set up this format that is a train wreck.
Yeah, and didn't Ronna McDaniel just give herself a raise? Like, this woman needs to be fired for setting this up.
She needs to be fired for a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, as I sat there and watched the debate, and like I said, Nikki Haley, I guess she won. But like I texted you guys this morning, I was like, you know what? Saying you won the Republican debate last night is like being declared valedictorian in summer school.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what do you really get out of all this?
Abdul is here. You have a big announcement. The polling is in.
Yes, we got our polling results in last night. It's a lot of data. I'm going to be going through it. What I can say right now is there are a lot of undecideds out there, and I think it's probably enough undecideds to make a difference in this election. Joe Hogshead is doing well in place. I didn't expect Joe to do well, and Jefferson Shreve is doing well in place. I didn't expect him to do well either. But I'm going to take the weekend, just sort of dissect all the numbers, and we'll start releasing the poll results on Monday.
And you will be back with us 10:06 on Monday to go over the poll results. Now, I know the poll results, but as you have known for many years, when you tell me something, you can totally trust me not to tell people on this radio show. And so based on that, without giving away the poll results, isn't it a matter of what we've kind of been saying on this show, which neither of these candidates are giving people a reason to believe in them?
Unless you're a hardcore partisan, you'll always vote Democrat. You'll always vote Republican. It is interesting to see how big the undecideds are, and the undecideds aren't concentrated in one town. They're sort of literally all over Marion County.
So it gives credence to what we have said from the beginning, which is Shreve's opening salvo of law-abiding gun owners suck appears to be biting him in the ass with the people that he should be winning with.
It's not helping, I'll put it that way.
Okay, very good. So Monday, you will be with us.
Yep.
All the results. You polled on the mayor's race. You polled on downtown.
You polled on the council. I'll be releasing results Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So definitely Monday we can talk about the mayor's race and a little bit about downtown and the city council.
All right, I want to ask you about etiquette for a quick second here, because I know if we talk about Holcomb, I'm just going to get mad and we're just going to scream at each other. And we've already covered the Holcomb stuff today. All right, so Jack Sandlin unexpectedly passes away. He's a state senator south side of Indianapolis, and he was a member of the city county council before that, a universally respected member of government, a guy that even if you didn't disagree with him, you probably didn't dislike him. And there's a caucus to replace him, as seems to be happening more and more these days for people who are willfully leaving, not passing away. And John Jacob, who is a state rep, has already announced, I'm running, before the funeral has even taken place.
The funeral is tomorrow, Friday.
Yes.
The visitation is tonight. The funeral's Friday. The burial is Saturday. And that idiot John Jacobs, what he decided to do was the day, literally the day that Jack Sandlin died, put out on social media, I'm going to run for a seat. Anybody have a list of precinct committeemen?
Okay, so we've had John on the show before. I like a lot of John's views, but that aside, that is poor etiquette, right? Maybe we should ask Susan tomorrow on the Mind Your Manners segment to announce you're running before someone has had their funeral. That is bad. Is that bad form in politics?
Well, let's ask Kurt Nicely, because Kurt Nicely did the exact same thing when Jackie Walorski passed away due to the traffic accident. Nicely, the day after Jackie, she hadn't been identified the body yet, and the bastard was like, "Hey, I'm going to run for." Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
So it sounds like it is poor etiquette then.
Yes, it is very poor etiquette. All you got to do, for example, I have a list of people who are thinking about running, but they all ask Abdul, could you wait until after the funeral? Like, yeah, because that's what you should do. Because when you start putting people's names out there, you're gonna have issues and the whole 9 yards.
It seems like pretty decent thing to do. Why do people sometimes struggle with that? I mean, it seems like a pretty straightforward thing. We'll let this family grieve and we'll pay our respects, and then we'll go back to being politicians.
Because they don't think. They just don't think about what they're doing. The impact on the family, the impact, and just sort of the whole perception. It's like grandma isn't even dead yet. Isn't even in the ground yet, and we're already fighting over the silverware.
Yeah, that just seems like
creepy and tacky.
Maybe these people need classes or something. I don't know. I mean, it just seems pretty straightforward, but yeah.
And by the way, just so John Jacob knows if he's listening, John Jacob does not have a whole lot of support right now either.
Well, because of that, or because of other things?
All of the above. But
okay.
But this really turned a lot of precinct committee people off. Mm-hmm. It really did.
All right, that's your last word for today, because I got out of here without fighting with you, which was my whole goal of this entire segment. So what? You're not working this weekend? You're doing nothing to help the radio station?
I'm going to. I'm taking my wife on vacation this weekend. We're going to Gatlinburg. So yay. so I can go by the old Confederate souvenir shop and pick up lots of Confederate things. I'm hoping for a white flag of surrender to walk away with when it's all said and done.
So there is no show this weekend?
There's a show this weekend, but I will not be on it.
What, is somebody working for you?
Yes. I don't know who, but...
Wow, boy. You always just have the radio station front of mind. I mean, I just, I can't say enough great things about you. Would you like to promote IndyPolitics.org then?
Sure. IndyPolitics.org. Follow us on Twitter, IndyPolitics.org, and our poll results are out Monday morning.
All right. The one and only Abdul Hakim-Shabazz. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kevin. And thanks for listening today. That's going to do it for us. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Joe Hogsett's been a politician for 34 years, and that's a lot of photo ops. But when riots broke out downtown, when